Chapter 2990. Roar, rumble. The earth trembled and the mountains swayed. Everyone was rushing outside. There was only one person who was wearing a long blue robe. She was already as cold as frost, but under the contrast of the long blue robe, she looked even colder. Wisps of cold air caused the surrounding temperature to plummet. "It's so cold." Lu Tian couldn't help but shiver. Wei Lin looked intently at the unarmed Su Lu. Number 1. Wei Lin ran over and frowned at Yi Zichen. "Aren't you going to do anything?" "Don't worry, I'm fine." Yi Zichen shrugged indifferently. He could suspect anyone in his team, but he couldn't suspect his sister-in-law. She was once the Ice and Snow Empress. She'd relied on her own strength to make the heavenly nine-tailed fox clan the leader of the Yao clans. When Earth was in danger, it was also her who'd fought off the invaders and bought time for the human race. You can suspect anyone. She's absolutely trustworthy. Big Sister Wei, should we? Lu Tian pursed her lips and stood unsteadily. "Should we go?" "How?" Wei Lin knitted her brows and looked at the unmoving members of Yi Zichen's team. "We can't just abandon them, can we?" "That's not a good idea," muttered Lu Tian. "Then are we going to fight the Ironback Blue Bulls? They're so violent. I think it'll be very difficult for us to defeat them." "I'm not leaving." All of a sudden, Tian Jie's brows sank, and his entire body began to emit steam. "I'm staying." This was definitely the perfect opportunity to save the damsel in distress. When Su Lu was in danger, he'd appear like a hero and leave a deep impression on her. Or perhaps fight alongside her. He'd make her look at him in a different light. "You guys go. Number 4, and I will stop them." Tian Jie clenched his teeth and charged forward. He ran over to Su Lu. "Number 4, I'll help you." Su Lu glanced at him, but said nothing. She held her breath and focused on the trembling ground, her eyes locked in front of her. "Wei Lin, what's going on with that guy?" Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows, then shrugged at Tian Jie, who had mysteriously charged forward. "You're not leaving?" When Yi Zichen saw Tian Jie charge forward, he couldn't help but sigh inwardly. This little brother is going to ruin things. Yi Zichen knew that he wanted to seize this opportunity to show off in front of Su Lu. However, he could sense it from the aura he had just released. He hadn't even reached the universe level. His strength was on par with Yi Zichen and company, but there was a direct difference. The limit here was the universe level, so Yi Zichen and company, and Tian Jie could only reach near the universe level. It was like a school exam, where a top student scored 150 and another top student scored 149. It seemed to be very close, but when the test questions were very difficult, the top student who scored full marks still scored full marks, but the top student who scored 149 scored 120. For a straight A student who scored full marks, his score of 150 was only 150 on the test paper. For a straight A student, 149, he could only take 149. This was the gap between them. For Su Lu, Tian Jie wasn't helping her at all. On the contrary, he was holding her back. "Sigh, looks like I have to take care of this." Yi Zichen shook his head and sighed. "Big Sister Lu, don't worry about him. If anything happens to him, I'll take responsibility." "I didn't want to care about him anyway," Su Lu replied. F***CK, heartless. He was going for her, and she actually said that. As expected of Su Lu, "You're really something." Regardless of whether Su Lu really didn't care or not, Tian Jie's safety was now Yi Zichen's responsibility. He couldn't just watch Tian Jie die. The people in this team were rather kind. Just because of their kindness, they deserved to live. "Why didn't you guys listen to me?" "The Berserk Ironback Azure Bull really isn't you guys." Wei Lin shook her head with a long sigh. "Never mind, be careful. If something really does happen, then leave with Lu Tian." "What are you doing? Tell me," Wei Lin said with a frown. "You newbies just like me. I won't say anything, but you guys better be careful." "Hey, sister, don't make it more difficult for me." Tian Jie alone was enough of a headache already. "Are you going to add another one?" "This is too difficult." "It's coming." All of a sudden, the forest trembled even more violently. Countless trees fell, and the ear-piercing sound of trees snapping could be heard clearly. "Lu Tian, Take care of them. Then, Wei Lin grabbed a silver long sword out of thin air, bit her lips, and charged towards the Ironback Azure Bulls. There were 4 Ironback Azure Bulls. They were in berserk mode. Normally, even if the 2 Ironback Green Bulls weren't in a berserk state, Wei Lin wouldn't make a move against them. However, right now, she was rushing out with 4 Ironback Green Bulls on her back. One could imagine how much pressure and responsibility she had to bear. Hey, don't. Before Yi Zichen could say anything, Wei Lin had already run 10-odd meters away. Yi Zichen sighed silently and covered his face. It's too difficult. Bastard, don't you dare. At the same time, the heat release from Tianjie's body grew even stronger, causing Su Luer to frown. She liked the cold with ice. Tianjie's heat made her very uncomfortable. Steam mist. Tianjie roared. In less than half a minute, the entire forest seemed to be covered by his steam. Bro, you're fine, right? Yi Zichen looked at him in shock. He was a bit dumbfounded. Isn't it even more dangerous for you to create a mist? Ferocious beasts aren't humans. They don't need to use their eyes to identify their targets. They use smell. Roar. As expected, Tianjie's mist was completely useless. Instead, it made him unable to identify the direction of the ferocious beasts. Just as Yi Zichen was at a loss, an Ironback Azure Bull that seemed to reach into the clouds broke through the mist and arrived in front of him. Roar! The surrounding air became sticky and moist. Thud! Tianjie couldn't help but fall onto the ground and touch his face. The sticky liquid was the Ironback Azure Bull's saliva. Tianjie. Wei Lin ran towards him with a frown. However, the moment she got close, the sky above them suddenly darkened. They looked up and saw that it was the Ironback Azure Bull's huge paw. It's over. At that moment, both Tianjie and Wei Lin had the same thought. They couldn't escape. AI. Just at this moment, they heard a long sigh of helplessness inexplicably. Then they saw Yi Zichen standing in front of them with his neck tilted. Dharma World. Chapter 2991. Dharma World. When Yi Zichen shouted, a wave of primordial memories surged into his mind. Back then, he had been a mere immortal. Using his devil Dharma body, he went on a killing spree. He hadn't used this secret technique for a long time. He didn't expect to use it again in the ancestral dragon tribe's trial ground. Anyway, he had nothing to worry about. Dharma Idol of Heaven and Earth was a secret art of the human race. Although Yi Zichen wasn't sure if the human universe had won, he guessed that it should. Otherwise, the human universe would be a bit too far behind. This was the trial area. It didn't matter even if the ancestral dragon clan or other people noticed that he was using a secret technique. What could they say? Once upon a time, Yi Zichen's devil Dharma body was 10,000 feet tall and blotted out the sky. Everything else in the world seemed like ants to him. With his current strength, it was easy for him to move it up to 3,000 feet. But, as a person, it was better to keep a low profile. There were still many children here. What if he scared them? Thus, Yi Zichen only released his Dharma world to about 5 meters wide and stopped the Ironback Azure Ox's foot. Wei Lin and Tianjie, who saw this scene, were stunned. They looked at the giant shadow with eyes full of shock. What are you waiting for? Let's go. Yi Zichen's rough voice rang out. Wei Lin hurriedly dragged Tianjie and ran backwards. Sister Wei, are you all right? Lu Tian ran over and pursed her lips as she looked at Yi Zichen's huge, illusory figure. Wei Lin and Tianjie also stared at Yi Zichen's back. This person was ridiculously strong. For some reason, Wei Lin actually believed that Yi Zichen was qualified to fight against the Ironback Azure Ox. Is he really a first-year student? Wei Lin couldn't help but murmur. She wondered which high school had actually recruited such a genius student. They were already in the second year and were struggling to deal with the Ironback Azure Bull that wasn't going berserk. The berserk Ironbacked Azure Bull did not even have the strength to retaliate. He had actually withstood a kick from the berserk Ironback Azure Bull. Furthermore, from his expression, it did not seem to have taken much effort. And it was very easy. Wei Lin even suspected that they were deliberately pretending to be juniors to tease their juniors. But even if he was a senior student, She didn't think that he would have such strength. She'd never seen the secret technique Yi Zichen used. "Little green ox, you dare step on me? Get up." Yi Zichen raised his hands, and the enormous ironback azure bull fell to the ground with a thud. When a huge body fell to the ground, the surrounding ground trembled violently twice. "How?" The ironback azure ox roared angrily on the ground, and a strong gust of wind mixed with saliva sprayed towards Yi Zichen and company. Yi Zichen reached out his hand, and a barrier formed from the energy of the universe appeared in front of him, blocking the sticky heat. Not long after, streams of turbid yellow liquid could be seen sliding down the universe energy shield. Huh. Yi Zichen couldn't help but shudder when he saw that. How disgusting. The mucus was spat out by the ironback green ox. The entire forest seemed to be filled with the stench of the mucus. It was fortunate that Yi Zichen reacted quickly enough. If he was stained by the mucus, then he would probably smell like it even if he showered 10,000 times. If you want to fight, then fight. Why did you have to spit? Even kindergartners don't fight like this anymore. This ironback azure bull is truly despicable. Roar. Suddenly, a deafening roar sounded out. Then, the ironback azure bull stood up. He couldn't help but be shocked when he saw Yi Zichen. Logically speaking, creatures like them would find it very hard to get back up after falling down. The fallen azure bull roared angrily, while the three ironback azure bulls behind it also roared and charged towards Yi Zichen savagely. Yi Zichen brandished his fists in the form of his Dharma idol. Every single punch seemed to tear through the air, causing deafening sonic booms. Roar! Dong! The ironback azure bull's horns slammed into Yi Zichen's universe energy shield. The huge impact caused Yi Zichen to take a few steps back, while he looked at the azure bull in surprise. Ridiculous strength. The berserk ironback azure bull's strength was close to the sky, which meant that it was at the peak of the marquee level. In terms of pure strength, the ironback azure bull was already at the peak. The ironback azure bull rammed Yi Zichen's universe energy shield angrily, as if it wanted to skin the little fellow in front of it alive. "Don't look at me like that. I'm here to save people. I'm not the one fighting you." Just as Yi Zichen said that, "It's snowing." Lu Tian looked up at the sky. Snowflakes began to fall from the sky. In the blink of an eye, a bone-chilling wave of air rushed towards them. Wei Lin hurriedly used her energy to surround Lu Tian, Meng Luo, and Hua Jinro. "Why is it snowing? Isn't it always tropical here?" Lu Tian frowned in confusion. Then, she heard the quiet and honest young man in their group point at Su Lu and whisper, "It's her." Only then did everyone see that Su Lu's surroundings were completely covered in frost. The aura of ice and snow swirled around her. Crack! Instantly, everything within 100 meters of her was covered in ice. Domain of ice, activate. "It seems like Lu Jie is rather frugal." Yi Zichen smiled. He knew very well that if Su Lu wanted to, it wasn't impossible for her to freeze the entire trial area. She was a woman who could freeze the entire Earth's oceans. She raised her right hand and snapped her fingers. Number 4 is going to attack. Meng Luo bit her lips and stared in front of her. However, no special effects appeared even after half a minute. Then, "Look above us." Hua Jinro pointed at the sky and covered her mouth in shock. An ice ball formed from solid ice fell toward them like a falling meteor, glowing with silver light. It went from the size of a pebble at the start to the size of a rock, then to the size of an ice mountain. Everyone in the trial area saw this. "What's going on? An ice mountain?" Many people in other areas of the trial area revealed shocked expressions. They couldn't help but gulp as they looked at the ice mountain that covered the sky. At the same time, a 6-man team also saw the ice mountain. Elemental control. The person who spoke up was Lu Yan, who had met Yi Zichen at the start. Beside him was the pretty girl who invited him to the trial. "Such strong ice elemental control," the pretty girl exclaimed. "This is an expert. Let's go over and take a look." Lu Yan couldn't help but want to turn around when he heard the word expert. However, he was stopped by the pretty girl. "What are you going to do? Our boss is still here. Can't you deal with Azure Cow Leader first? then go and find your expert? What if he runs? Lu Yin frowned. If he runs, then run. Don't cause trouble for me. Hurry up. Do the trial first. Lu Yin said unwillingly. He looked at the pretty girl, then at his bosses. It would be fine if he didn't take the commission. He could just not do it. Unfortunately, he already took the commission. Then hurry up and finish it quickly. Chapter 2992. Ice Mountain of Ice. What huge mountain of ice! Lu Tian and Meng Luo exclaimed. Wei Lin looked up for a moment to determine the range of the mountain of ice. Hurry up and retreat. The mountain of ice seemed to be 100 meters in diameter. When it actually fell, it might even break through 1,000 meters. They were within its range. Everyone quickly retreated. The ironback azure oxen, who had been roaring the entire time, also growled uneasily when they saw the mountain of ice. After that, the azure oxen fled in the opposite direction. You want to leave? Sulu snorted coldly, then snapped her fingers again. Instantly, the mountain of ice above them shattered into countless icicles, which shot towards the fleeing ironback azure oxen like a torrential rain. Boom! Boom! The ground boiled. Dust mixed with ice shards, creating an icy mist. Yizichin didn't retreat at all. He used an energy barrier to defend against the icy mist, while he stared in the direction of the ironback azure oxen. The icicles wreaked havoc in the sky for more than 5 minutes. When the smoke dissipated, they were all destroyed. The entire ground was filled with terrifying icicles. It's over. Lu Tian, who was hiding in the back, gulped. Tian Jie, who had wanted to show off in front of Su Luer, was completely dumbfounded. Show off. Show off my ass. This big sis is ridiculously strong. I'm not even on the same level as her, okay? He didn't have a good first impression of her. He had wanted to play the hero and save the damsel in distress to change her impression of him. Now, it was all over. Not only did he not do anything, but he was also seen in an embarrassing state. Ignoring everything else, just the steam he released just now was enough to make people call him a mental patient. It's over. His heart, which had just been throbbing, the flower of love, had withered. Su Lu didn't even look at him. She simply retracted her breath of ice and returned to the group. Number 4. You're too amazing. Meng Luo's face was filled with shock. They still remembered what Su Lu had said to them about forming a planet of ice. If they didn't believe her before, now they were completely convinced. She had formed an ice mountain so easily, and even caused it to instantly shatter. It was this kind of control and cohesiveness. Even the king couldn't do it. Even the berserk ironback azure bull was killed. Lu Tian also stared ahead in astonishment. Su Lu had remained silent the entire time. She simply shrugged and shrugged. Make way, make way. Our number 4 is about to load up. At that moment, Yizichin hurriedly ran back and yelled as he rushed to Su Lu's side. Let me explain for you. Do you know what the shrug means? Number 4 wanted to say 2 simple words. That's it. Yizichin even mimicked Su Lu's expressions and movements. Do you want to die? Su Lu punched him, causing Yizichin to be confused. What's wrong with me? Number 4, don't say anything. You have to remain aloof at this moment. Experts usually don't talk much. At this time, you need a top-notch translator, and I happen to be qualified. If you want to die, then just say it. All of a sudden, a sharp sword of ice formed in Su Lu's hand. The bone-chilling coldness caused Yizichin to hurriedly take 2 steps back. What are you doing? Hurry, hurry, hurry. Put away the sword. I'm doing this for your own good. Why don't you pretend? If I did it, then I would definitely pretend. I'm not you. Su Lu frowned. I'm going to beat you up if you say one more word. This sister-in-law's temper is a bit bad. Yizichin silently shrunk back, then heard Su Lu's soft voice. I should be the one saying it. Do I need you to do it? This ironback azure bull is just average. It's not challenging at all. Hey, not bad. It seems like Su Lu has started to join in after staying here for too long. What Yizichin didn't know was that Su Lu's words deeply touched the weakness in Wei Lin and company's hearts. It's not challenging at all. Even a normal ironback azure bull would have to tremble in fear and tread on thin ice. F*CK. What kind of challenge is this when it comes to Sulu? Seriously, I'm offended. Number 1 is amazing too, said the famous Yechi Dreamvine. Just now, number 1's Dermic World saved Wei Lin and Tian Jia. What's more, it stopped the Ironback Azure Bulls from advancing and bought number 4 a lot of time. It's simple, said Yi Zichen with a shrug. That kind of thing. They're too weak. I don't even want to fight them. As the commander of the battle, I only fight in times of danger. Just now, I only used 10%. No, less than 5% at most. I only used 10% just now. No, at most less than 5%. Su Luer suddenly frowned. Your shield is about to shatter. Su Luer suddenly frowned. Your shield is about to shatter. Su Luer suddenly frowned. Your shield is about to shatter. The amount of time you used to condense it would have killed the Ironback Azure Bull a long time ago. I've done a great service in this battle. Su Luer frowned. I'm telling you, I've made up for what I owed you last time. The ones I encountered when I first came out. Didn't you say you won? This time I won. Can you stop messing around? Yi Zichen was speechless. I didn't even do anything and gave you a chance to show off. If I had attacked, do you think those 4 stupid bulls would still be alive? I could have finished them in 3 seconds. No, I could have taken care of them in 1 second. Why would I need to use snow and a domain like you? Number 4, you weren't like that before. I didn't lose. Su Luer insisted. She could ignore everything else, but she always cared about winning and losing. Last time, when she was heartbroken, Yi Zichen beat her with a 5 elements elemental fairy. She was very unhappy, but she didn't say it out loud. She just kept it in mind. This time, she finished off all 4 Ironback Azure Bulls. No way. Do you really have to do this? Yi Zichen nodded. Fine, then let's do this. Don't we have 20 Ironback Azure Bulls? Then let's not go with 20. I'll count it as your win this time. Let's compete again. Sure. What do you want to compete in? Let's compete in this Ironback Azure Bull area for an hour. Whoever kills the most wins. Don't worry about the 20-hour mission. There's no limit. Do you dare? Sure. Let's not just talk about winning and losing. Let's bet on something. Sure. What do you want to bet? Su Luer also got angry. Say it. Let's bet on being a servant for a month, Yi Zichen glared. Anyways, we're suppressing our strength to the universe. There's no such thing as who's stronger and who's weaker. Let's just compete on individual ability. Whoever loses will be the other servant for a month and serve tea. Do you dare? Then it's decided. Su Luer nodded without hesitation. Now, let's start. Chapter 2993. Scarlet Burning Plains. Chilling Breath. Thunderstorm. Ice Prison. Lightning Python. Freezing Zero. Lightning flashed, and thunder rumbled in the Ironback Green Bull Forest. Flames and ice blended together. The Ironback Green Bulls fled in all directions. They had met a tough opponent. The Ironback Green Bulls were feeling extremely uncomfortable. Not long ago, they were at the top of the food chain, but now they were being beaten by 2 humans. They were scared to death. The Ironback Green Bulls wanted to use all their strength to dash through the forest. They were really scared. These 2 weren't humans at all. They were 2 living demons. They had clearly gone berserk. If it were other humans, they would have been scared out of their wits. These 2 didn't care at all and chased after them. They didn't even let them run and chased after them with all their might. Sometimes it would snow and sometimes there would be thunder. Occasionally, they would shock them and then they would set them on fire. Who could withstand this? Even now, the 2 figures were still chasing the Ironback Green Bulls. Behind them, there were 6 other figures who were keeping the Ironback Green Bulls' tails. Really, not even in my wildest dreams did I imagine that such a day would come. The one keeping the tails is actually slower than the one killing them. Lu Tian used her dagger to chop off the Ironback Green Bull's tail. These tails were proof of the kill and also the mission item for completing the trial. The Ironback Green Bull's hide was very hard. To chop off the tail, Lu Tian had to use all her strength. She had to chop off the tail several times before she could chop off the last section and put it in her spatial ring. Wei Lin didn't say anything. She just squatted on the ground to chop off the tail. Unbeknownst to her, she was more shocked than anyone else. Who would dare to think of such a thing, let alone Lu Tian? Even if there were dozens of third-year seniors who were about to graduate, they wouldn't be able to achieve such efficiency. How many have been killed? If they continued, the ironback green bulls would probably go extinct. Which school are you from? Tianjia, who was helping to chop off the tail, asked softly. I can't say. Meng Luo shook her head. I can't tell you. You are from the Hero Academy, right? Wei Lin whispered. Hero Academy? In a split second, Lu Tian, Tianjia, and the quiet and honest young man, Huang Shi, all subconsciously looked at Meng Luo and the others. The name Hero Academy had an extraordinary meaning to the ancestral dragon clan. It represented the highest school of the ancestral dragon clan and was also the gathering place of many geniuses. When he thought of Yi Zichen and Su Lu's battle prowess, if it was any other high school, such fighting power would have spread like wildfire. If it was the Hero Academy, it would be understandable. The people there were all monsters. It was just that he was too ridiculously strong. In less than an hour, they had already killed dozens of ironback azure bulls and chased after the berserk ironback azure bulls. He had been in the elementary training zone for so long, but he had never heard of anyone who could reach such a level. It was a one-sided abuse for the ironback azure bulls. They were a race that stood at the top of the food chain, but they didn't even have the strength to fight back. He could only run. Huh? How did you know? Meng Luo looked at Wei Lin in surprise for a while and said, None of us said anything. Number 2. Hua Jinro looked at Meng Luo helplessly. If you say that, aren't you admitting that they are from the Hero Academy? Don't hide it. Wei Lin sighed helplessly. It's obvious if you think about it. Besides the geniuses of the Hero Academy, no one can reach such a level. Sigh. The Hero Academy is on a completely different level from the other high schools. We are too far behind. Wei Lin looked a little depressed. She had always thought that although she wasn't chosen to go to the Hero Academy, it was purely because the people of the Hero Academy were blind. With her talent and strength, she was much better than many students of the Hero Academy. Now it seemed that there was indeed no comparison. Even the freshmen of the Hero Academy had such fighting power. How could they compete? The Hero Academy was the highest school of the ancestral dragon clan. It was no wonder that the trial they accepted was to kill 20 ironback azure bulls. The Hero Academy was indeed extraordinary. The graduation test of other schools was to kill 1 ironback azure bull, but in the Hero Academy, it was a beginner's trial. Thinking about it, it was really funny. They were all high schools, but why was there such a huge difference? Was this the campus for geniuses? Don't be discouraged. Meng Luo comforted her. Number 1 and number 4 aren't ordinary students. They're the best in the school. Really? Wei Lin was shocked. Anyway, that's what I think. Meng Luo shook her head and said proudly, Our team is the best. The others in the school can't compare. Actually, it's not impossible. Wei Lin thought for a moment and then said in a low voice, The students of the Hero Academy are really strong, but I haven't heard of any students who can chase after a berserk ironback green bull endlessly. Yeah, I haven't heard of it. Lu Tian nodded. No. Sister Wei, don't you think it's strange? Tianjia said softly. In the past, the ironback azure bulls would only go berserk when they are infuriated, and they would only go berserk individually. However, the ironback azure bulls that we saw go berserk in groups. None of them are not berserk. Even the young ironback azure bulls are in a berserk state, and they stay berserk for a ridiculously long time. Indeed. Hearing that, Wei Lin nodded. There were indeed too many ironback azure bulls in a berserk state, and they lasted for too long. It wasn't that they didn't go berserk in the past. However, normally, they would only last for 10 minutes. After the berserk state ended, they would enter a period of weakness. Many people who came here to do the trial would wait for the ironback azure bulls to finish their berserk state before killing them. At that moment, the ironback azure bulls had been in a berserk state for an entire hour. Even now, there are no signs of weakness. How strange. Wei Lin frowned and muttered. Meng Luo and Hua Jinro couldn't help but look at each other. They could tell what each other was thinking from their gazes. What was strange about it? They went berserk because they came to do a mission. The difficulty factor of 512 times wasn't just for show. They probably, if they didn't leave, the Ironback Azure Bulls would continue to go berserk. If anyone accepted the mission, then they could only blame it on their bad luck. They bumped into Yizichin's team on a trial mission. Chapter 2994. Rumbling filled the sky as thunderclouds filled the sky. Tyrant's judgment. A thunderous roar resounded, and suddenly, the phantom of a lightning tyrant appeared in the void. Furious roar. 10-odd bolts of purple lightning descended from the sky. Ice barrier. Suddenly, a shout sounded out from behind Yizichin. An ice-like barrier abruptly appeared around the iron-backed Azure Oxen. Yizichin looked at the person behind him in confusion. The iron-backed Azure Oxen were completely stunned. They couldn't believe that this human would actually save them. If the lightning had descended, they would definitely have been electrocuted. What a good person! The ironback Azure Oxen were so touched that they nearly burst into tears. Unfortunately, right after they were touched, 0-degree freeze. Ice spike. The ironback Azure Oxen were instantly covered in ice. Then a sharp ice spike appeared from beneath their feet and pierced through them. Before they died, the ironback Azure Oxen silently looked at the beautiful woman who they had thought was their savior, but ended up killing them. Mom was right. The prettier a woman is, the better they are at lying. Burp. The ironback Azure Oxen were dead. Lu Urgia, what are you doing? Yizichin tilted his head and looked at Sulu. Didn't you go a bit overboard? Stealing points? 40-37 I won. Sulu laughed. Yizichin glared at his sister-in-law, who was smiling. What? 40-37? F asterisk CK. Did she purposely save the iron-backed green bulls just to save them from dying in his hands? Servant, why aren't you standing behind me? What servant? Aren't you embarrassed? Yizichin pointed at the ironback Azure Oxen's corpses. Just now, I used the tyrant's judgment. They definitely died. Is that so? Sulu touched her long hair and retracted her ice aura. Then, did your tyrant's judgment succeed? Didn't I tell you to stop them? Yizichin frowned. If you didn't stop them, they definitely would have hit. Oh, when Sulu heard this, she put on a rebuttal. I don't agree with what you said. It didn't hit. It just didn't hit. Could you guarantee that your tyrant's judgment would be dodged the instant they landed? Why should they hide? Yizichin roared angrily. I calculated their running speed and reaction speed. My tyrant's judgment can definitely hit them. Then let me ask you a question. Sulu muttered. Speak. Humans can unleash their life potential in times of crisis, right? I once lived on Earth for a period of time. When I opened a kindergarten, I once saw an ordinary female teacher of the human race run over 10 meters in a second and catch a little guy who was about to fall to the ground. Yes, there is. Yizichin did not reply. It was undeniable that humans could unleash their potential, and many creatures could do so as well. Then, why don't you think that they can also unleash their potential and run away in times of danger? Sulu tilted her head. If they run away, then you won't be able to kill them. However, my ice barrier made them think that they were saved, causing them to temporarily lose their minds. My icicle succeeded, so that's my points. There's no such thing as an unfair advantage, right? Hey, is this really Sulu? Yizichin stared at Sulu for a long time. She can actually say something like that? Shameless. Fine. They can't run away. Yizichin let out a sigh. My tyrant's judgment has a tracking effect. They can reach even the ends of the earth. Then what if they can't die? Sulu muttered. I need to tell you about how humans can unleash their potential. Sulu giggled. Some people fell from the 10th floor and didn't die. Why? Logically speaking, he should have died, but in the end, he survived. Why don't you think they can survive your tyrant's judgment? No matter what, the Ironback Azure Bull is a peak marquee. Why did you instantly kill it? Don't say that you could catch up to them, but what if you couldn't even kill them? Sulu snorted coldly. The answer lies in the result. The result is that I killed them. Your tyrant's judgment didn't succeed, but my icicles did. Furthermore, they're already dead. In the end, I got 40 and you got 37. You lost. Luurgia, what's wrong? You're starting to be shameless as well? Am I? Sulur didn't get angry. She shrugged. Perhaps that's what they say. I've been following you around every day, so I've learned a bit. Don't say useless things. You lost. How is it? Are the results out? At that moment, Meng Luo and the others also ran over. Little Meng Luo was at the very front. Who won? Me? Su Luer shrugged without the slightest blush or panting. Huh. Number one actually lost. Meng Luo seemed a bit disappointed. Although she liked Su Luer a lot, she wanted to see Yi Zichen win even more. Hee hee. Yi Zichen laughed coldly. Your Luer Jie cheated just now. I was clearly leading by a large margin. She used Ice Barrier to save the Ironback Azure Oxen. Then, she used Icicles to finish them off. In the end, she told me something like 40 to 37 TSK. Then let me ask you, was it 40 to 37 in the end? It should be 35 to 42. Yi Zichen said angrily. Fine, I won't argue with you about that. I'll count it as your win. Thank you. I'm so sorry, but I don't need you to count it. F*CK. Compete with me again if you can. Let's see who kills the Azure Ox leader in the end. Yi Zichen scolded angrily. Do you dare to detain a servant for a year this time? That's too infuriating. I thought that Su Luer wouldn't do something like that, but it seems like I've underestimated her. She completely copied Yi Zichen's style. Otherwise, I should be the one doing all of this. I don't dare. I'm afraid of losing. Su Luer twitched her mouth. In any case, I've won this time. You're my servant for a month. All right, my servant, stand behind me. This Su Luer, why didn't I notice before? The time they spent together had already turned them into this. Where did the once arrogant cold queen go? How did she become so shameless now? She would do anything to win. Sophistry. She even said that you couldn't refute her. Seriously, this sister-in-law is really something. What do you want? Su Luer frowned. Don't forget, you admitted that I won just now. A gentleman keeps his word. A man should accept his loss. Don't make me look down on you. Chapter 2995. This really is Su Luer. Even now, Yi Zichen still found it hard to believe that the person in front of me is the Su Luer I know. What's going on? Hua Jinro, who ran over, confirmed the situation with Meng Luo. Great God lost a bet with Luer Jie. Meng Luo whispered into Hua Jinro's ear. Is that so? Actually, Hua Jinro subconsciously thought that Yi Zichen would win. She didn't think that Su Luer would actually win. However, when she thought about the iceberg she created with a wave of her hand, it wasn't surprising that she won. What's more, it's good that Su Luer won. Number 1. You're going to be number 4 servant, Hua Jinro purposely mocked. Hua Jinro deliberately laughed in a mocking tone. TSK. I didn't expect our hero one to have such a day. What a delightful piece of news. Yi Zichen really wanted to retort. In the end, Su Luer had an unfair advantage. However, when he was about to say this, he didn't say it out loud. He recalled Su Luer's final words. I admit it. A man is willing to accept a loss. When it comes to a competition on the same stage, any method can't be used. In the end, he did lose. He admitted it. That's good, Su Luer smiled. Su Luer smiled. Then from now on, I'm the overall commander of this trial. This sister-in-law welcomed the new chief commander. Hua Jinro was the first to run over to congratulate him. She looked like a fawning eunuch, while her gaze towards Yi Zichen was filled with playfulness. As expected, Hua Jinro can't be used. It's still little Meng Luo. Welcome the new chief commander. Meng Luo also eagerly ran up to them. Meng Luo, you betrayed me as well. I trusted you so much. There's no love. He felt like the world was filled with enmity towards him. He was stripped of his authority as chief commander, and all of his trusted aides abandoned him. What's the point of living? Just die. Wei Lin's team stood silently nearby, and couldn't help but sigh in their hearts. Even if they decided to kill an ironback green ox, they would have to think hard for a long time before making a decision. Looking at the group in front of them, they thought that they were first-year students. In their eyes, chasing after the Ironback Azure Bull was just a bet. It was truly infuriating to compare oneself to others. There was no way to live. My servant, go and collect the tails of the last few oxen. Su Luer crossed her arms and muttered. Yi Zichen muttered to himself for a long while, then nodded with force. He walked in front of the ironback azure ox's corpse, gathered universal energy in his hand, and chopped off all of the ox's tails in no time. Here, he unwillingly walked in front of Su Luer. Su Luer crossed her arms and glanced at Oxtail. What are you doing for me? Didn't you tell me to chop it down? Yi Zichen frowned. Pay attention to your status. Do you have the right to speak to me like this? Su Luer frowned and pointed at Yi Zichen angrily. Go, stand aside. I asked you to chop off the oxtail so that you could hold it. You actually want to give it to me? Is there a servant like you? Creak. Yi Zichen silently clenched his fist and let out a deep sigh. Fine. Don't let me get anything on you. Yi Zichen slowly walked away from Su Luer and walked in front of Wei Lin and company. Wei Lin said carefully. Although Yi Zichen was a punching bag in front of Su Luer, it didn't mean that he was a punching bag in front of everyone else. Wei Lin was more or less afraid of Yi Zichen, the Hero Academy, an absolute genius. This is the oxtail we chopped off for you just now. Whoosh. Wei Lin chopped off all of the oxtails, causing the ground to be covered with them. The tails of the ironback azure bulls already took up quite a bit of space. That was a given. It was easy to imagine the size of an ox's tail that was over 10 meters tall. Even if they cut off the bottom part, it wasn't that short. The tails of several tens of ironback azure bulls were like small mountains. What are you doing? Yi Zichen was stunned when he saw the ironback azure bull's tails all over the ground. I'll give it to you. You were the one who killed these ironback azure bulls. Naturally, I should give you their tails as well. Wei Lin muttered. Hold it for me. He also threw the 3 oxtails that he had chopped off earlier onto the ground. From now on, you guys are my followers. Is there a problem? Wei Lin was stunned. All right, don't talk anymore. I already know what you're thinking. Yi Zichen covered Wei Lin's mouth with his hand. I bestow upon you the title of Charging Lackey Number 1. Wei Lin was a little confused. What was going on? I'll leave these oxtails to you. Yi Zichen chucked the oxtails together and indicated towards Wei Lin. All right, charge little bro number 1. Charge with me. Meng Luo and Hua Jianro had defected to the enemy. It was all right. He could just recruit a few more underlings. Yi Zichen could tell that Wei Lin and Lu Tian had a lot of potential to be underlings. That Tian Jie probably wasn't good enough. He was Su Luer's fanboy, so even if he was an underling, he would have to go over to Su Luer and pledge his loyalty. This sort of person wasn't worth recruiting. As for the simple-minded Huang Shi, she felt that he looked a little silly. Not smart enough. He wasn't a suitable candidate to be an underling. Only Wei Lin and Lu Tian looked a bit like the iron-headed underlings of the charge. Tidy up the oxtails. Yi Zichen spoke in a bossy manner. Just give it to me before I leave this place. Oh yeah, if I accept the Ironback Azure Bull mission, then you can take the required mission items. I didn't make you underlings for nothing. Tell Big Bro if you have any trouble. Wei Lin twitched her mouth. Servant. Suddenly, Su Luer, who was in the distance, called out. Hurry up and come over. The combat commander is about to give an order. If you're the only one running around outside, I'll beat you up. Yi Zichen pursed his lips and walked over unwillingly, then cracked his neck. Charge, lil bro, come over. Sister Wei, I'm calling you. Lu Tian whispered softly. Wei Lin hurriedly stuffed all the oxtails into her spatial ring. She raised her head and shouted, I'm coming. Although she did not know what was going on, Wei Lin still accepted the identity of a charging lackey. Lu Tian followed Wei Lin and ran in front of Yi Zichen. Let me introduce you. My charging underlings number 1 and number 2. Yi Zichen muttered. What? Lu Tian blinked her eyes. Had she also become a charging lackey? If you don't follow me, there will naturally be others who will. Yi Zichen snorted coldly. Little bro, call your little bro over as well. Chapter 2996. The relationship between the 8 people in the group was complicated. Su Luer, as the commander of the battle, had the highest position in the group. Meng Luo and Hua Jinro were on the second floor of the pyramid. Yi Zichen, the servant, was on the third floor. Fortunately, Yi Zichen was quick-witted enough to recruit his subordinates, Wei Lin and Lu Tian, while he was at the bottom. Wei Lin also had subordinates, Tian Jie and Huang Shi. The pyramid was divided into 5 floors, and Yi Zichen was in the middle. This was enough to prove his importance in the group. That's right. Being able to become the person in the middle was the most important thing. Don't be an idiot, okay? Su Luer looked at the proud Yi Zichen with a pitiful gaze, as if she was looking at an idiot. Your spirit is truly on full display. I'm impressed. Yi Zichen rolled his eyes silently without saying anything. Then he noticed Meng Luo, Hua Jinro, and even the 2 subordinates he just took him were staring at him with a similar expression. Tian Jie and Huang Shi were also among them. Enough. Yi Zichen frowned angrily. Seriously, what's wrong with giving people some room for imagination? I'm already like this. Can't I imagine a bit? Isn't it good to live a bit more realistically? Su Luer muttered. Ha! Yi Zichen really wanted to snort disdainfully when he saw Su Luer's righteous expression. Easy for you to say. She was the winner, so she was naturally very happy. If Yi Zichen won in the end, he wouldn't dare to do anything to Su Luer. Thinking of that, he suddenly felt much better. He would probably feel even worse if he won. Let Su Luer be his servant. He didn't dare to. Ignoring his sister-in-law's temper, even Su Yin wouldn't let him. She would probably have to deal with him at night. No problem. I'll return to reality. Yi Zichen nodded seriously, while the dejection on his face disappeared. Both Meng Luo and Hua Jinro were shocked when they saw that. What's going on? He suddenly felt like he was a different person. It was clear that the atmosphere was lifeless just now, and the resentment on his body could be felt from 10 kilometers away. Does this count as a mental disorder? Hua Jinro muttered. No way. Meng Luo exclaimed. Why not? Hua Jinro muttered with a serious look. Haven't you heard? It's the kind of people who are under too much mental pressure. When faced with some unacceptable things and images, they directly have a mental breakdown and go crazy. Oh my God, number 1 is crazy. Were these 2 girls doing this on purpose? He must have done it on purpose. The 2 of them sang a duet and spoke in a voice that everyone could hear. They also intentionally avoided mentioning Yi Zichen's name, and instead said, number 1. No, you 2. Bunny is not cute. Bunny is not delicious. Meng Luo covered her head and trembled. What the F***CK? Can the 2 of you act like humans? Yi Zichen was speechless. Hee, I just want to make you happy. Meng Luo giggled. There's nothing bad about being number 4 servant. You're no different from a servant anyway, so don't be too sad. Yi Zichen, you really know how to comfort people. This was the first time Yi Zichen had ever used such a method to comfort someone. All right, I lost, so I lost. I'm truly willing to accept my loss. I'm fine with being a servant. I don't think number 4 can make me do anything too embarrassing. Yi Zichen muttered. That's hard to say. Su Luer raised her eyebrows. What can you make me do? Yi Zichen tilted his head. I'm a very shameless person. There's nothing that can make me feel embarrassed. Could it be that you want me to help you write your underwear? 10 minutes later, Yi Zichen sat on the floor, silently with a bruise over his right eye. His face was expressionless with a hint of bitterness. Little Meng Luo carefully blew on it. Say, don't you deserve it? Hua Jinro, who was on the side, said sarcastically. You really dare to say anything. It's not like you don't know what number 4's temper is like. I just blurted it out subconsciously. Yi Zichen muttered. That's why I said you deserve it. Hua Jinro twitched her mouth. Hua Jinro curled her lips. Do you think everyone is like us? They won't care about you even if you take advantage of them. Why can't I see the ironback azure bulls? Su Luer, who stood in front like a majestic general, put her hands on her waist and looked around. She didn't enjoy beating Yi Zichen up to her heart's content, and she wasn't satisfied yet. She just felt like there was still something on her that wasn't done. You guys killed all of the ironback azure bulls within a 10-kilometer radius, right? Lu Tian reminded carefully. Although ironback azure bulls live in groups, They can't be too densely packed with their bodies. What's more, they usually live together in a family or a small tribe, so there won't be too many of them. So the ironback azure bulls are the strongest in the beginner area? Suluer asked. Pretty much. Wei Lin nodded and replied. In the beginner area, the ironback azure bull is already considered to be at the top. There are a few others that are similar to him, but with the strength of your team, you can probably crush them. Wei Lin still found it hard to believe. How is this possible? There's actually someone who can chase after an ironback azure bull and beat him up. Everyone's strength is suppressed here, which means that the strength that they can use is also similar. How could they be so ridiculously strong? Just how many times more power amplification was needed to chase after dozens of ironback azure bulls and beat them up? AI. Suluer sighed helplessly. From her eyes, it was clear that she was disappointed in the beginner area. All right, is there a leader of the ironback azure bulls in your trial? Suluer raised her eyebrows. Yes. Hua Jinra nodded. I'll take it. All of a sudden, Wei Lin's team lost their composure. No, you're going to fight the leader of the ironback azure bulls. Then let me ask, are you going to fight the leader of the ironback azure bulls? Wei Lin frowned. That's right. Meng Luo nodded. We've accepted a mission there. Since you guys are here, you should know where it is, right? We do know. Wei Lin's tone was filled with hesitation. Suluer nodded with a satisfied expression. Take us there. Wei Lin glared. Take us there. We don't know where it is either. Suluer shrugged. Aren't you guys number ones charging underlings? Number one, let them take us there. I want to meet that ironback azure bull right now and see if it's worthy of being its leader. Chapter 2997. Hello everyone, I'm Wei Lin. I believe that everyone is already very familiar with my name. That's right, I'm the pitiful team leader who originally wanted to come to the trial grounds to kill Shadow Cat Demonis. But after being persuaded by Lu Tian, I decided to go meet the ironback azure bull. In the end, I met the pitiful team leader of Lion's Floodline's first charge squad. The person wearing the leather coat at the beginning should have been a peerless expert. In fact, in my school, I am also one of the best. Our group was also in the top 5 of the school's trial ranking. Don't think that just because the top 5 aren't at the top, it proves that we can't do it. The top 10 of the trial rankings were all very tight. Coincidentally, our group had taken a break a while ago and went on a tour. When we came back, we had spent all our points, so we had no choice but to return to our old profession and come to the trial grounds. It was also because we had fallen from 1st place to 5th place. Originally, we would have gained a lot of honor points by pulling away from the 2nd year. It was under these circumstances that I was deeply shocked. This blow came from Lionhong's number 1 charging lackey squad. The members of their group were simply too ridiculous. The two of them chased after the enraged ironback azure bull. We couldn't even kill the bull's tail as quickly as they did. I was stunned. After that, he inexplicably became the charging lackey of Torrent Lion number 1. In that case, I'm a little brother. When I was in school, I was clearly the big sister. Big Sister Wei wasn't something that my group called me. It was the 2nd years, 1st years, and even some 3rd years who call me that. That was not all. Just now, I received news from the higher-ups that they want to meet the leader of the ironback azure bulls. Yes, in a non-berserk state, sky rank. Berserk state, level unknown, estimated to be cloud level. I didn't know how to explain the dangers of this trip to them, because even if I did, I could tell from the eyes of little brother number 4 that she definitely wouldn't give up. I had an idea. Go back to school. This world is too scary. It's not something that we, 2nd graders, should come to, but I received orders from my superiors. In other words, it was the order of my cheap big brother, Lionhong number 1's charging underling. Take them there. I could not refute, nor could I refuse. Inexplicably, I recalled something that my teacher had said. Sometimes, it's not you who makes the decisions, but the people around you. This sentence was not wrong at all. Perhaps I was wrong from the very beginning. I shouldn't have brought my team to the trial ground. Or perhaps, back then, when Lion Torrent 1's team came to find me, I shouldn't have spoken to them. The hands of fate had moved. I might never be able to get off this pirate ship again. Remember, I am Wei Lin. If I die heroically in this battle, I have been here before. Of course, before sacrificing myself, I decided to make one last attempt. Are you sure you want to take the measurements with the iron-backed azure bowls? Wei Lin's eyebrows were already completely knitted together. She bit her lips and said, "The iron-backed green bull leader is on a completely different level from the iron-backed green bulls. Although it's very easy for you to kill iron-backed green bulls, the iron-backed green bull leader is already a sky rank when it's not going berserk. Sky level, my heroes, do you think about it? You said that because you don't want us to go, right?" Yi Zichen muttered. "You could tell." Wei Lin pursed her lips in surprise. The air of idiocy was probably contagious. Wei Lin usually had the image of a cold big sister in school. But after staying with Yi Zichen's team for a few hours, she also started to have an air of idiocy. "How can I not tell?" Yi Zichen twitched his mouth and shrugged. Although Su Luer's punch wasn't light, even with his one eye, he could see the undisguised resistance on Wei Lin's face. "She doesn't want to go." "Lil Wei, I'm here. If you really don't want to go." Say it. "If you really don't want to go, then you shouldn't have said it like that." Yi Zichen shook his head and sighed. "You said that the iron-backed azure bull leader is on a completely different level from the iron-backed azure bulls. Isn't that exactly what our number 4 wants? Can't you tell? This big sister is a battle maniac. The more ridiculous the opponent is, the more she likes it. Don't you know that?" "I am speaking the truth," Wei Lin muttered. "Yeah, I also know that you're speaking the truth," Yi Zichen shrugged. "Actually, even if you say that the iron-backed azure bull leader is weaker than the iron-backed azure bulls, it still doesn't make sense." "Yeah," Wei Lin nodded in agreement. That was indeed the case. Who would believe that a leader was weaker than a lackey? These vicious beasts weren't humans, so they might be limited by wealth. They respected the strong. Whoever was stronger would be the boss. Maybe one day, someone stronger than it would appear and overthrow its rule, becoming the boss it trusted. Among the vicious beasts, they didn't respect the relationship between father and son. For example, if the father was stronger than the son would be the father's lackey and wait for the father to abdicate. Something like that didn't exist. No, the son would directly kill him. Wei Lin also considered that. She knew that she would definitely be exposed if she lied, so she told the truth. "But you can use another method," Yi Zichen sighed. "You can say that there's nothing special about the iron-backed azure bull leader. It's more or less the same as the iron-backed azure bulls. It's just that the prestige of having multiple leaders has a certain amount of intimidation, or its size. Never mind. I'm not going to pretend anymore. Hurry up and take us there. We received a mission from it, so we have to go no matter what." Wei Lin glanced at Yi Zichen silently. "Are you messing with me? I nearly wrote it down, all right. The iron-backed azure bull leader really isn't easy to deal with. You guys still have to go." Wei Lin shook her head helplessly. "You have to ensure our safety." "Number 4, I have a condition." Yi Zichen shouted. "Can't you just protect them?" Su Luer frowned. "Can't you take good care of them? I'll fight the iron-backed azure bull leader alone." "Are you treating me like a nanny? Aren't you a servant?" Yi Zichen let out a deep sigh, then accepted the identity of a servant and nodded. "All right, I'll take care of them. If you can't beat them, then don't ask me for help unless you beg me." "Hee." Su Luer laughed coldly. "Have you guys made up your mind?" Wei Lin asked softly like a pitiful child. Yi Zichen shrugged. "Didn't you hear it? It's decided. I'll ensure your safety. Don't worry, not a single hair will be harmed." "What if it's too little? Then there's nothing I can do." "I'm Wei Lin. This is my story. I boarded a pirate ship, and after I boarded this ship, I won't be able to get off again. I had no choice but to brace myself and follow the ship, even if the ship seemed to me to be on a crooked path. I can't get off." Chapter 2998. In the vast forest, the group of 8 shuttled through the jungle, with Wei Lin taking the lead. Since Yi Zichen and company didn't know where the iron-backed blue bulls were, they could only let Wei Lin take the lead. There was no need to worry, though. All the iron-backed azure bulls they encountered along the way fell to Su Luer's ice spikes. The lethality of the icicles was indeed ridiculous. Along the way, Yi Zichen specifically asked the water elemental sprite, only to learn that even he couldn't do what Su Luer had done, suppressing his strength to less than the universe level. The icicles he released could instantly kill a near-marquee pinnacle ferocious beast. At least for the current water elemental sprite, his control over ice had yet to reach such a level. From this, it was clear that Su Luer's understanding of the ice element was top-notch. We have to hurry up. It's going to be nighttime soon. For us humans, fighting in this kind of environment is disadvantageous. On the other hand, the ironback green bulls rely on their scent to catch their targets, so they won't be affected. Wei Lin, who was running in front, said, "You're the leader. Just run. We'll definitely be able to catch up." Yi Zichen replied, "Then you should keep an eye on me." Wei Lin tilted her head and said, "We didn't care about me along the way. If it weren't for number 4's icicles, I would have been eaten into minced meat. Do you think I dare to run fast when you're so absent-minded? Is this considered being anxious?" "Wei Lin, you can't take it anymore, can you?" Hua Jinro quietly ran to her side. "Number 1 is always like this. He just likes to make beauties angry." I'm actually fine," Wei Lin muttered. "It's okay. If you're really angry, just let it out. He's a servant. He doesn't dare to speak." Hua Jinro fanned the flames. "Do you think I don't dare to beat you up?" Before Hua Jinro could finish, a low voice sounded out beside her ear. Then, Yi Zichen grabbed her ear and dragged her to the back. "Stay at the back. You're everywhere. Tian, that mouth of yours. Do you really like to cause trouble? Can I tell the truth?" Hua Jinro straightened her neck and shouted. "Then which beauty do you think I made angry?" "Me? Heh." Yi Zichen twitched his mouth and laughed. Hua Jinro looked at him with her eyes wide open. "Did you laugh just now? Do I need to repeat this?" Yi Zichen shrugged helplessly. "You really have the nerve to lick your face and say that you're a beauty. Do you really think that the sky is so clear that it won't be struck by lightning? You should know that I can wield lightning. Do you believe that I can strike you to death with lightning? Number 1, I'll kill you." Hua Jinro shouted and ran forward, but was stopped by Yi Zichen's arm before she could even take 2 steps. No matter how she waved her arms, she couldn't reach Yi Zichen's face. "You? Small arms and legs. Do you think you're number 4? I can't beat number 4, but it's still very easy to beat you." I'm angry." Hua Jinro glared at him angrily. "How do I have small arms and legs? Don't spout nonsense. Do you have any shame? You used the heaven and earth Dharma body to grab my head. How could I do anything to you?" "Oh, really?" Yi Zichen instinctively looked down at himself, only to discover that he really had activated his Dharma body. It wasn't too big, only about 3 meters. It was a piece of cake for him to deal with Hua Jinro, who was 7 meters tall. "So sorry, I didn't notice. I spoke too harshly just now. If there's anything that made you unhappy, then hit me if you dare." Dong! Several minutes later, Yi Zichen walked in front of Wei Lin with a huge bump on his head. Justice from the heavens. He didn't even act for 30 seconds before Su Luer directly smashed his head with an ice hammer. It was fortunate that his head was hard enough, otherwise he might have already been on his way to the funeral home. "Wei Lin, boss." Wei Lin peeked at the bump on Yi Zichen's head. "Your injuries are pretty serious, right? How about we retreat now? What would we do if something happened to you?" "Do you think that's possible?" Yi Zichen muttered softly. "Unless I die. You deserve it." Hua Jinro frowned and twitched her mouth. "I should just directly kill you. I really don't know what you're pretending for. When you get back, I'm going to complain to the other people in our team. Either way, someone will take revenge for me." What a despicable person. I regret it. Why did I have to bring Hua Jinro along? Everyone else was very obedient, only she was like a thorn. Even in the game, she was the thorn, and she was the only one who talked too much. "Don't talk anymore." Yi Zichen rolled his eyes at Hua Jinro, then moved beside Wei Lin. "Let's go as well. You only know how to let me lead the way. You don't care about me. Aren't I taking care of Lu Tian and company? If you need me to protect you, then just say it. I'll just follow you. Restrain your anger a bit. We don't have to go that far." Wei Lin, who was clearly angry, couldn't say anything after hearing Yi Zichen's words. After thinking for a moment, she could only let out a long sigh. "Boss, it's really dangerous there. There are still heads around the Ironback Azure Bull's leader. If you want to deal with it, then you have to deal with those guards as well. It's useless for you to tell me, Yi Zichen replied helplessly. I'm just a servant right now. Wei Lin sighed silently, then looked at Su Lu who was looking at her with her arms crossed. That gaze alone caused her to quickly retract her gaze and not dare to look any longer. Must we go? Wei Lin asked Yi Zichen carefully. Can't we discuss it a bit more? How much longer are you two going to chat for? Suddenly, Su Lu's cold and arrogant voice sounded out. Didn't you say that the dark isn't good? You still have time to waste here? If you have time to waste, then we've already arrived. Did you hear that? Do you think there's any room for discussion with that tone? Yi Zichen patted Wei Lin's shoulders, then shook his head with a sigh. Hurry up and leave. You saw that ice hammer just now, right? If I hit you, your little head probably won't be able to handle it. Wei Lin subconsciously swallowed her saliva and shrugged bitterly. You must protect our team. Don't worry, I'll definitely let you guys return alive. Yi Zichen smiled. Yi Zichen smiled. Of course, I don't care if they're all healthy or not. Wei Lin. Regardless of what happened along the way, with Wei Lin going all out, everyone's speed did increase by quite a bit. Approximately half an hour later, they arrived at a plane. Then, they heard Wei Lin say, softly with a frown, Someone's already here. Chapter 2999. Red Packet Server, Chapter 2994. You must listen to me. Currently typing. Please wait for a moment. After the content has been updated, please refresh the page to receive the latest update. Chapter 3000. Red Packet Server, Chapter 2995. The Superior, please wait for a moment. After the content has been updated, please refresh the page to receive the latest update. Chapter 3001. If there was a time in Wei Lin's life that was the most exciting, it was probably today. She was too scared. If she thought of herself as a big sister before, then she was now willing to admit that she was just a little girl with no abilities at all. What? She was just here for a trial. Meng Luo and Hua Jinro would occasionally glance at her as they silently followed behind Yi Zichen's team, then let out a long sigh in their hearts as they comforted her. Don't be scared. The great deity will ensure your safety. You have to trust the great deity. I'm telling you, you can think of it this way. Coming to the trial grounds is definitely dangerous. However, if you follow us, it will actually be safer than going to the trial alone. The great deity won't leave you guys alone. Lu Urjia and the great deity are both very responsible people. Meng Luo followed beside Wei Lin and comforted her softly, while occasionally clenching her fists. Even if it's me, I can protect you. Don't just look at how small I am. I'm actually pretty amazing. Although I might be a bit weaker than the great deity and Lu Urjia, I can protect you guys. If this was any other time, a harmless little girl like Meng Luo would cause others to want to protect her. She was just too cute. Anyone who saw a little lowly couldn't help but want to protect her. As for being protected by her, especially in such a dangerous trial ground, around the Ironback Azure Bull's nest, most people would at most smile when she said this. How could she protect others? The Ironback Azure Bull could trample several tens of her with a single stomp. Even now, no one in Wei Lin's team dared to doubt Meng Luo's words. The main reason was because Yi Zichen and Su Lu had pulled the average strength of their team too high. Since Meng Luo and Hua Jinro were in their team, they naturally subconsciously thought of them as experts. I'm not doubting you guys for not being able to protect us. Wei Lin muttered softly. All right, what I'm afraid of is that today was too shocking. I need to go back and properly digest it. It would be best if I can forget everything. Lil bro, are you going to forget big bro? Yi Zichen, who was running in front, suddenly stopped and tilted his head. You're not going to be my charging lackey anymore? Big brother, please let me go. Wei Lin shook her head with a sad face. I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy to be your follower. A person like me will only drag you down if I stay by your side. Please let me go. There are many capable people in the Ancestral Dragon Clan, and you are an expert from the Hero Academy. You can find a few Vanguard subordinates from your academy. I just want to live the life of an ordinary person. Hearing that, Yi Zichen laughed, then patted Wei Lin's head. Big brother will help you reach the heavens in a single bound. Don't. I just want to be an ordinary person. Don't let me reach the sky in a single bound. Please let me go. Wei Lin shook her head forcefully. This time, after your trial is over, we'll go our separate ways once we return to the safe zone. You can go to your hero academy, and I'll go to my normal high school. We'll mind our own business and never contact each other. Seriously? Reaching the heavens in a single bound? She was probably going to ascend to the heavens soon. Stop struggling. Come, let's add each other as friends first. Yi Zichen clicked open the identity card page with a chuckle. What's your ID? Since identity cards can be used in the trial grounds, then our IDs can be used as well. I'll add you as a friend. If there's a trial in the future, let's do it together. Let us go, Wei Lin suddenly shouted. Trial? What a trial. They even wanted to do a trial together. Wasn't this lesson enough? This was a lesson learned through blood and tears. She had already deeply remembered this lesson. She was about to get off the boat, but she still wanted to pull her up again. No, it was more accurate to say that Yi Zichen wanted to tie her to this pirate ship. If you don't add me, I'll throw you into the lair of the Ironback Azurable leader. All of a sudden, Yi Zichen's gaze turned cold, and he threatened. Don't blame me for not reminding you. I'm not a good person. I'll do what I say. You better be obedient, otherwise I'll throw your entire team in. Meng Luo and Hua Jinro looked at Yi Zichen in shock. The god they knew wasn't like this. He was probably intentionally scaring Wei Lin. Wei Lin didn't know. When she heard Yi Zichen's cold tone, she opened her eyes wide like a frightened rabbit. Didn't you just say? What did I say just now? Yi Zichen frowned, then looked at Lu Tian, Tian Jie, and Huang Shi. You guys too. Tell me your IDs. I'll add you all. Whoever doesn't say it, I'll throw you in if you see the lair in front. Even if you can run out, I'll still throw you guys in. Unless you can beat me, otherwise, there will only be one result for you. And that is, I don't need to say it, right? My ID is 7,765. Lu Tian was the first to speak up. Then, Tian Jie and Huang Shi also said their IDs. Only Wei Lin hadn't spoken up yet. Wei Lin's tone was already starting to sob. My ID. That's right, good. Yi Zichen rubbed Wei Lin's head and said to Meng Luo. Yi Zichen caressed Wei Lin's head, then turned to Meng Luo. Meng Luo, take out all the oxtails. We'll only keep 20 for the mission and give the rest to Wei Lin and company. About this, we can't take it. Lu Tian shook her head. Yi Zichen and Su Lu had killed 70-something during the duel, and he had also killed 20-something along the way. Nearly 100 oxtails were in Meng Luo's ring. Leaving 20, Lu Tian would be able to get around 80 oxtails. Even if they were sold in the safe zone, they would be able to get over 10,000 points each. How would they dare to accept over 800,000 points? I told you guys to take it, so just take it. Yi Zichen frowned. Wei Lin, take it. Here. Meng Luo poured the oxtails onto the ground. Wei Lin bit her lips as she looked at the oxtails on the ground. Giving a carrot after a slap? Does she really think that I'm a little kid that can be coaxed with a piece of candy when it hurts? Even in a situation like this, their team doesn't seem to be able to resist at all. Rather than sitting on a pirate ship, I might as well take these oxtails. I'll just treat it as compensation for mental damage. Lu Tian, take it. Wei Lin bit her lips and muttered. Since boss gave it, then we'll take it. It'd be a waste if we don't. That's more like it. Yi Zichen nodded with a smile. After taking these oxtails, you guys are my Yi Zichens. From now on, if anyone dares to bully you in the Ancestral Dragon Clan, then just come and find me. I'll protect you guys. If you have any missions that you don't dare to do, then you can contact me. The beginner trial area isn't difficult for me at all. See, don't you feel like being my lackey is pretty good? I actually don't need you guys to do anything. All you have to do is flatter me and help us familiarize ourselves with the map. Leave the rest to us. It's so worth it. Boss is right. Wei Lin sniffled. Of course. Suddenly, Yi Zichen's gaze darkened once more. Of course. Suddenly, Yi Zichen's gaze darkened once more. If anyone dares to delete me after we leave, then I have some connections in the Ancestral Dragon Clan, so it'll be rather easy for me to find you guys. If I catch you then you know the consequences, right? Yes. Wei Lin nodded. It's good that you know. Follow me obediently, and I guarantee that you guys will reach the heavens in a single step. Chapter 3002. Regardless of whether it was a meteoric rise, it was true that Wei Lin and the others couldn't get off the pirate ship now. Little did they know, in the entire team, only Wei Lin felt a little wronged. In fact, Lu Tian and Tian Jie felt pretty good about it. Yi Zichen's team was very strong. Lu Tian felt that it was pretty good to have a backer. As for Tian Jie, being able to see Su Luer was already good enough. Perhaps one day, a toad would eat swan meat. When it came to feelings, they would grow fonder over time. If he interacted more, he might have a chance. Huang Shi, no matter what, he had no objections. Wei Lin muttered to herself as she put away all the oxtails. Boss, you're not going to the Green Ox Den anymore. Why not? Yi Zichen didn't understand. Don't think like that anymore. We have to go to Azure Ox Leader's lair. Otherwise, why do we come here? Then why aren't you moving? Wei Lin shrugged. Wei Lin would definitely find it strange that they had stopped at the same spot and did not move forward. We're here. Yi Zichen pouted. Everyone could see the 6 behemoths not far away. Below them, they could vaguely see the shadows of a few people, as well as the occasional burst of light. Big Sister Lu is already watching, Yi Zichen said. Wei Lin could only sigh silently in the end as her last ray of hope was shattered. You think too much. Seriously, why did he have to have so many fantasies? It was clear that Yi Zichen's team had already made up their minds to find the leader of the Ironback Azure Bulls, yet she still had the thought of retreating. Too naive, there was no way to struggle. Wei Lin let out a deep breath and simply accepted all of this. Boss, why don't you call yourself by a code name? Wei Lin asked curiously. Codenames are for others to hear. You are now one of my own. Yi Zichen pursed his lips and smiled, then raised his eyebrows towards Wei Lin. Of course I have to be honest with my own people. Boss, then why do you keep calling me by codename? Do you have an enemy? Wei Lin muttered. Oh, you're pretty smart. Yi Zichen glanced at her in surprise. That's right. I have quite a few enemies in the Ancestral Dragon Clan, so I have no choice but to keep a low profile. Otherwise, who knows when someone might stab me in the back. At first, I didn't tell you because I didn't trust you. But now, I trust you completely. I'm quite satisfied with your team. You're silly, but worth making use of. Hey. The members of Wei Lin's team were dumbfounded. What kind of human speech was that? I'm afraid you've said everything in your heart. Oh no, I'll let it slip. Yi Zichen also covered his mouth, then glared at them with a coy smile. Pretend you didn't hear it. Did he really think they were retarded? Nobody in Wei Lin's team dared to retort due to Yi Zichen's dominance. Almighty, Lu Tian imitated Meng Luo's way of addressing him. Who's your enemy? You're already so powerful, so why are you still so careful? With your talent, you should be highly regarded by the Ancestral Dragon Clan. You're pretty smart. Yi Zichen chuckled. If we're talking about talent, then I'm not bad. But, actually, the one who wants to mess with me is the hero of the Ancestral Dragon Clan. All of a sudden, Tian Jie and Huang Shi frowned and looked towards Yi Zichen. Are you kidding me? How could a hero make a move against a junior? Who is it? Lu Tian couldn't help but ask curiously. Yi Zichen also pursed his lips and looked around, then whispered, the Ancestral Dragon Clan's master of adjudication, Zhuing. Shu, are you seeking death? Surprisingly, Wei Lin covered Yi Zichen's mouth with her hand. You actually dared to call the master of adjudication by her name. What's the big deal? Yi Zichen shrugged. She's always wanted to deal with me, so I can't call her by her name. What's so special about her? Isn't she just a master of adjudication? Stop bragging. Wei Lin glared at him. The master of adjudication is bullying a junior like you? What is it? Boss, I know you're amazing. If you weren't, then I wouldn't have submitted to you so willingly, right? Wei Lin smiled, then her expression darkened. But there's a limit to our bragging. The master of adjudication, that's the highest judge of the Ancestral Dragon Clan. He's above all heroes. With that, Wei Lin tilted her head and looked towards Meng Luo and Hua Jianro. Does he have a speech disorder? Does he always like to lie? However, When Wei Lin asked this question, Meng Luo and Hua Jianro did not say anything. Moreover, from their expressions, they seemed to be saying what he said is true. Wei Lin, who had just recovered a bit, was confused once again. Can you guys not look at me like that? Wei Lin frowned. I'm a bit scared when you guys are like that. I said, it can't be true, right? Wait, why is the master of adjudication bullying him? I know, you guys are purposefully scaring me, right? That's no fun. What are you guys scaring me for? I've already admitted that I'm your team leader's henchman. Wei Lin, sometimes reality is very strange. Yi Zichen patted her shoulder and said softly. Wei Lin looked at Yi Zichen in shock. Boss, don't mess with me. This joke isn't funny at all. If the master of adjudication really has a grudge with you, then wouldn't I be seeking death by being your lackey? Can you let me go? I haven't lived enough yet. My parents are counting on me to take care of them in their old age, and my family is counting on me to prosper. AI, no one believes the truth these days. Yi Zichen shook his head helplessly. All right, I lied. No. You have to give a reason, right? Why did the master of adjudication cause trouble for you? Just who are you? How could you have a grudge with the master of adjudication? Could it be that you're the son of a hero, and the class struggle of the hero higher-ups affected you? Wei Lin frowned. But I don't think that's the case. AI, you're right about that. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. What? The struggle of the higher-ups. Yi Zichen pursed his lips with a smile. I'm the sacrifice of the struggle of the higher-ups. My esteemed master has a bit of a grudge with the master of adjudication. Since she couldn't take it out on my esteemed master, she took it out on me. Actually, I've had it pretty hard as well. Who exactly are you? Wei Lin frowned for a long time. I am. Before Yi Zichen finished, Su Luer walked back. Stop chatting. I already saw everything. Commander, decide how to do it. Chapter 3003. What's the situation like? When he heard her words, Yi Zichen's expression grew serious. He could do whatever he wanted in his free time. It didn't matter if he joked or teased others, but if there really was a big battle to fight, he had to curb his playfulness. If he wasn't wrong, the difficulty of their trial this time will be displayed by the iron-backed Azure Bulls going berserk. Even if they didn't accept the mission of the iron-backed Azure Bull, they would probably go berserk and increase the difficulty of the mission if they accepted the trial of other beasts. The leader of the Ironback Azure Bulls was a non-berserk Sky Realm expert. They had to be careful when dealing with Duchess Rosy Cloud. What's more, there were plenty of competitors in the distance. That's about it, muttered Su Luer. They still haven't dealt with the leader of the 6 Ironback Azure Bulls. I don't feel like any of them is the leader, so it's probably still in its lair. The leader hasn't come out? Yi Zichen frowned. The fact that the leader still hadn't come out could only mean two things. Either the leader was afraid, or the leader felt that the humans causing trouble for it weren't worthy of being its opponent. It didn't care about them at all. Its guards alone were more than enough to deal with them. This was a kind of extreme confidence. How many people went to challenge the leader of the Ironback Azure Bulls? Muttered Yi Zichen. Only 4 are fighting them. 5 are watching from afar, replied Su Luer. There aren't many of them, but they're all experts. Just 4? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows in surprise and looked towards the leader of the Ironback Azure Bulls. From what he could see, he could only see a few illusory figures tangling with the Ironback Azure Bulls. He couldn't be sure exactly how many people there were. Yes, just 4, nodded Su Luer. Su Luer nodded noncommittally. Also, it seems like only one of the 4 is the main attacker, while the other 3 are holding down one beast each. But that's just their potential. I feel like if we want to kill them, we'll have to rely on the main attacker. How confident? Wei Lin had guessed that only a group of at least 100 people would dare challenge the leader of the Ironback Azure Bulls. She hadn't expected Su Luer to answer with only 4. This meant that they were quite confident in themselves. Are there no ambushes around? Probably not. Su Luer slowly shook her head. I found out about Beaky Island from the feedback of the water elements in the air. In the end, there were no other humans around. Let's go and take a look first. Yi Zichen licked his lips. We won't attack directly. Why do we have to force our way in? Yi Zichen frowned. Lu urge ya. I know you want to fight against experts, but there's no need to take the risk. Our final goal is to complete the trial and return. Now that there are people willing to be our fighters for free, let's let them wear us out first. When the time comes, we'll go out. The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. You've heard of this saying, right? Isn't this too treacherous? Suluer frowned. If it was up to her, she would have started the battle immediately. She would have taken the ironback azure ox guards from those people, and after dealing with them, she would challenge the ironback azure ox leader. The trial was over, but Yi Zichen didn't do as she'd planned. That's not treachery. You're just being too predictable. Yi Zichen muttered. When we're outside, we shouldn't fight if we can. If we don't have full confidence, then we're being irresponsible with our own lives. You're my sister-in-law. If anything happens to you, don't kill me. Listen to me. Let's watch first. When he noticed that Su Luer didn't seem very satisfied, Yi Zichen sighed. The ironback azure ox leader will let you be the main attacker. I'll be your assistant. That should be fine, right? That's more like it. Hearing that, Su Luer's expression improved slightly. The group advanced stealthily through the plains. Approximately a few minutes later, they were less than 2,000 meters away from the ironback azure ox guards. When he raised his head, he could see the mountain-like behemoths. They were at least 50 meters long. When they ran, they were like moving fortresses. Every step they took caused the ground to tremble. It was very frightening. Stop, we'll stop here. Yi Zichen, who was walking at the front, raised his hand. Everyone bent down and hid in the grass. The ironback azure oxen were huge, and the grass was ridiculously tall. They practically reached Yi Zichen's waist. For little Meng Lu, they were almost up to her shoulders. From where they were, they could clearly see the battle going on in the distance. Hey, aren't those the ones who talked to us at the start? Only Meng Luo's little head was exposed. She pointed at the old man who was fighting 3 ironback azure bulls and said, "That old man. It really is him." Yi Zichen took a closer look. The old man was none other than Lu Yin, the one who'd spoken to them when they first arrived at the trial grounds. At this time, he was fighting with 3 guards, and there were 2 men and a woman hindering the other 3 guards' movements. I didn't expect this guy to be an expert as well. From the aura the ironback azure oxen gave off, it had already completely surpassed the sky level. If there were no surprises, it was definitely at the peak of the marquee level. This meant that the leader of the ironback azure oxen was at least at the duke level. It was very likely to be at the peak of the duke level. The difference in strength between each level was like the difference between heaven and earth. Sulu, and the others could easily kill marquises, but it wouldn't be so easy for dukes. How long is this guy going to fight for? Sulu asked softly with a hint of impatience in her voice. Just let him fight. Yi Zichen hadn't expected to run into Lu Yin here. Although they'd met once, fate just loved to play jokes on some things. Yi Zichen's team wanted the leader of the ironback azure oxen as well. Most importantly, Yi Zichen's team was biding their time. In truth, the result had already been decided. What's more, Yi Zichen didn't think Lu Yan's strength would be much of a threat. As for the 3 guards, there was no need to even mention them. It felt like they were on 2 completely different levels. If they really had to fight, then perhaps only Lu Yin could. Are you sure you're not going to fight? No, said Yi Zichen softly. Yi Zichen muttered softly. If we could take advantage of a situation, why not? This place is perfect for hiding, so we could just wait patiently. Don't be so anxious. All right, from now on, the battle commander will issue the mission. Everyone, hide and wait for an opportunity. Before the next order, no one is allowed to act rashly. Chapter 3004. In front of the ironback azure bull leader's lair. How troublesome. Lu Yin, who had been madly sprinting in the midst of the ironback azure bull guards, had an indescribably dispirited expression on his face. That's right, his expression was not solemn at all. It was just a look of annoyance and annoyance. Why did these guards go berserk? While dodging the attacks of the ironback azure bull guards, Lu Yin even summoned his ID card page and chatted with a person called Ming Xiang. Not long after, Ming Xiang received a notification that the other party was typing. Not sure. You have to talk to them. Guard berserk adds points. Lu Yin furrowed his brows as he replied. Also, when we arrived just now, the other Ironback Azure Bulls were also in a berserk state. I can't rule out the possibility that the next leader will also be in a berserk state. If the leader also goes berserk, the points will increase tenfold. I'm talking about it, Ming Xiang replied. Hurry up. I played with them long enough. Lu Yin sent the message. It's almost time to sleep. I have to sleep before 10 o'clock. Damn. Only you know how to take care of yourself. Ming Xiang replied with a few angry emojis. It's because you always sleep so early that I can't even invite you out for supper. How am I supposed to spend the night with you? You're not even giving me a chance. Is there something wrong with you? Lu Yin frowned. Why do you, a young lady, have to spend the night with a grown man like me? I want to sleep with you, can't I? Ming Xiang quickly replied. It's not the first day you know that I like you. Little brother, why are you acting innocent in front of me? Don't talk about these useless things. Hurry up and talk about points. I'll talk to you later. Ming Xiang sent a few rows of angry emojis in the chat box, which showed how angry she was. During this time, the pretty girl who was blocking the Ironback Azure Bull glared fiercely at Lu Yin, as if she was in a very bad mood. Sensing that gaze, Lu Yin felt a chill in his heart and quickly replied, Don't get distracted. Really? Can't you give me a chance? Don't tell me you don't want to get married in this life. Ming Xiang's reply came again. Can we not talk about this? We can discuss it after the trial, all right? TCH. Ming Xiang's words were filled with disdain. Yi Zichen, Su Luer, who was hiding in the bushes, frowned and patted Yi Zichen's shoulder. What's wrong? Don't you think that the behavior of that old man and that woman is a bit strange? Su Luer gestured to the front with her lips. Those two seem very distracted. They aren't paying attention to the guards at all. I can feel it. From the few minutes they had been observing, the other two men were really trying their best to restrict the Ironback Azure Bull's movements. But Lu Yin and the woman seemed more like they were just putting on an act. For a few moments, Lu Yin was about to be trampled by the Ironback Azure Ox guards. He was able to dodge them easily. He didn't do anything even when he had a chance to counterattack. He just wandered around absent-mindedly. No one knew what he was thinking. The two of them are deliberately hiding their strength. Su Luer frowned. Yi Zichen nodded. It's not impossible, but what's their goal? Were those two guys down? But when the two of them were in danger, Lu Yin also helped them. I don't think they're in the same team, Su Luer said softly. In terms of teamwork, that old man and that woman are the most well-coordinated. It seems like this is the first time the other two have worked together. The positions they find for each other are all due to that old man and that woman giving way to the other two. If they're really in the same team, they shouldn't be so stiff. Luergia. Yi Zichen couldn't help but laugh. We're in the same team, but we don't have any teamwork to speak of. How can we be the same? You're the main attacker. I'm also the main attacker. What's more, I don't need others to work with me. Su Luer rolled her eyes at Yi Zichen and snorted coldly. I like to fight alone. Aw, you're angry. Yi Zichen hurriedly clicked his tongue. I'll cooperate with you this time, all right? Come on. You'll be the main attacker, and I'll be the support. Didn't I tell you just now? Why are you so tense? We're relatives, and I'm your brother-in-law. Can you be nicer to me? Su Luer laughed coldly. Anyways, Lu Yin and that woman are worth paying attention to, Yi Zichen said softly. The two of them definitely aren't as simple as they seem. They might very well be our greatest enemies. I don't need you to remind me. I know what I'm doing. Su Luer frowned. Seriously, Yi Zichen was seriously suspecting that Su Luer's period had come over. Her emotions were fluctuating so much that she had to scold him for no reason. Yi Zichen didn't know what she did to piss her off. How did I piss her off? Su Luer really wanted to make a move right then, but Yi Zichen wouldn't let her. That was why she was so angry. Great deity, don't piss off Luergia. Meng Luo pouted. Luergia's temper isn't good right now. Be careful, she might hit you. It's going to be dark. Be careful, Wei Lin reminded. So what if we're careful? It's not like our commander told us to make a move. Su Luer snorted angrily. Su Luer snorted coldly. Even if it's dark, you have to endure it. At that moment, a gust of wind swept through the plains. At that very moment, Yi Zichen, Su Lu, Meng Luo, and Hua Jinro all focused their gazes. Lu Yan, it's done. Ironback Azure Bowl leader goes berserk 2,500, non-berserk 1,000. Do you accept? Ming Xiang sent a message to Lu Yan. Did you transfer the down payment? Lu Yan frowned. 5 million was transferred into my account. I already received it. Then, Ming Xiang sent a screenshot. It was a screenshot of the transfer. 25 million. That's a bit interesting. Lu Yan pursed his lips and smiled. Then, he heard Xiang Ming yell, laugh my ass. Do you accept or not? I'm tired. F***CK. You're still tired after giving you half? Woman. Lu Yan raised his hand to fix his hair. Then a silver longsword suddenly appeared in his hand. We'll accept this mission. Before he finished, a silver light flashed. When the light disappeared, the blade slowly returned, while the 6 Ironback Azure Bull guards all bled out with blood, then turned into minced meat that fell onto the ground. The minced meat piled up on the ground like a hill, looking very terrifying. Finish it quickly. I have to go back to sleep. Chapter 3005. Gasp. Yi Zichen, who was watching from afar, couldn't help but gasp. The sound also rang out around him. One strike. The 6 Ironback Azure Ox guards instantly turned into corpses. There was no hesitation at all. So strong. Meng Luo and Hua Jinro couldn't help but sigh softly. He's from your hero academy as well. Tian Jie clenched his teeth and thought back to that strike, causing the back of his head to tense up. Seriously, he couldn't understand that strike at all. Just how did he swing it? Afterimages filled the sky with that strike, and the afterimages were all aimed at the guards' vitals. The most ridiculous thing was that he killed all 6 of them. No. Meng Luo shook her head and blinked. Meng Luo shook her head, blinked, and said, he seems to be from some high school, right? Meng Luo didn't remember which high school he was from, or rather, Yi Zichen's group didn't. The main reason was that nobody cared too much about that. Lu Yan had come to them to sell some goods. Only Yi Zichen talked to him. The others didn't pay much attention to him. He's not from your school? Tian Jie's gaze focused on where Lu Yan was, as if he wanted to recognize who that person was. If it was the Hero Academy, then everything would be easy to explain. If it wasn't, then this sort of student must be extremely famous in the high school. They should know these people. He's Lu Yan, right? At that moment, Huang Shi, who was always silent, frowned as he looked at Lu Yan, who held a silver sword. A god from the 3 schools. He challenged a third-year graduate the moment he entered the school. From then on, he took the 2nd place in the entire school, and no one has been able to shake his position. I heard that the Hero Academy invited him, but he rejected it. This was the most Huang Shi had ever said to him. Meng Luo looked at him in shock for a moment. So you can say so much. Huang Shi, who had just said a bunch of things, fell silent once again. Don't be silent. It wasn't easy for you to say something, so say more, Meng Luo giggled. You just said that he rejected the Hero Academy's invitation. Is there anyone who would be willing to reject the Hero Academy's invitation? Huang Shi remained silent. Instead, Wei Lin walked over. I heard it through the grapevine, Wei Lin said. Wei Lin said, no one has verified it. Ah, Meng Luo raised an eyebrow. I said that because a few students ranked below him from the 3 schools were invited, but he stayed in the 3 schools. That's why some people suspect that he rejected Hero Academy's invitation. Wei Lin frowned and said, besides, his sword move is indeed worthy of entering the Hero Academy. No, it's still not enough. Yi Zichen spoke up. Indeed, there's nothing special about his sword. Su Lu shrugged non-committally. Yi Zichen tilted his head. Big Sister Lua noticed as well. If you can see it, why can't I? Su Lu curled her lips. Yi Zichen and Su Lu had just said that sword strike was no big deal. Wei Lin and the others instantly lost their composure. Unfortunately, they had no way to refute him. They'd all seen Yi Zichen and Su Lu's impressive battle prowess. Perhaps they had their own reasons for saying that, but inwardly they still had their own suspicions. What right do they have to say that? Su Lu and Yi Zichen did display impressive strength, but they were only normal ferocious beasts like the Ironback Azure Bulls, and not the guards. There was a huge difference between the guards and normal ferocious beasts. Old Yi, can you stop acting like that? Hua Jinro interrupted. Wasn't that sword just now amazing? Could you do it if it was you? That's 6 guards. Me? Yi Zichen smiled. This little one isn't talented, but I have 800,000 ways to instantly kill those 6 azure bulls. I have 801. Su Luer muttered. Yi Zichen tilted his head and looked at his sister-in-law. Does she have to have one more than me? Big sister Luer, don't learn bad things from Yi Zichen. Hua Jinro muttered softly. However, Su Luer put on a serious expression. Hua, although I don't like Yi Zichen pretending, what he said just now was the truth. That sword really isn't as amazing as you think it is. Actually, it was a trick. As for the 800,000 ways Yi Zichen said, it was probably just an act. But I definitely have one more than him. It's true. Yi Zichen, Meng Luo raised her eyebrows in surprise. Luer, Jiejia, how did he trick his sword? The others also looked towards Su Luer. However, Su Luer just shrugged and looked towards Yi Zichen, as if she wanted to say, You say it. What are you looking at me for? I said first. Do you think I'd copy you? Yi Zichen twitched his mouth. You said it later, so you should say it first. Su Luer snorted coldly, then pouted towards the corpse. That Lu Yin is the expert in your hearts. Don't be fooled by how clean his sword was when he drew it. Actually, he had already planned it from the very beginning. The moment he drew his sword, he activated his energy and activated the foreshadowing, causing the scene of instant death. He spent a total of 20 minutes on the foreshadowing, and those 20 minutes were all for that one sword strike, which means he actually used 20 minutes to kill the 6 guards. This isn't something to be surprised about. Really? Meng Luo exclaimed. You weren't paying attention just now. If you did, you would have noticed it as well. Yi Zichen rubbed Meng Luo's head. Of course, Hua Jinro is quite lacking. Her skill is limited, so it's normal that you couldn't tell. Who did you say? Hua Jinro glared. I'm talking about you. Yi Zichen shrugged. Yi Zichen shrugged. I already called you out by name. Who do you think I'm talking about? Is there someone called Hua Jinro here? Who? I. Hua Jinro clenched her fist while her chest heaved up and down. I can't be bothered with you. Stop bullying Hua Jinro. I already said part of it just now. Tell me, what was the foreshadowing I mentioned just now? Su Luer patted Yi Zichen's shoulder. Silver threads. Yi Zichen shook his head with a helpless smile. Luergia, I said it before you did, so how could I not know? Look at you. There was a silver thread at his cuff, and when he moved, it turned into a net. When he put the sword down, the silver threads were instantly activated. Actually, the sword is just a distraction. He isn't a sword user. The sword is just a tool for him to hide the silver threads. I can also tell from the way he holds the sword that he doesn't use it often. You understand the sword a lot. Wei Lin frowned. Me? Yi Zichen looked up and thought back to when he used Xian Yuan's sword to fight in all directions. I know a bit. Chapter 3006. Keep pretending. Hua Jinro couldn't help but twitch her mouth when she heard Yi Zichen say that he knew a bit. Although Meng Luo and Hua Jinro hadn't known Yi Zichen for long, ever since his battle with the God King of Destruction shattered his Xian Yuan sword, he'd rarely used his sword. But in the second universe, he also prioritized the sword over the martial arts. Even the frequency of its usage was not high. He could also tell that Yi Zichen was an expert with the sword. Most importantly, when he had participated in the struggle for supremacy, his sword had been witnessed by the entire universe. It was unknown how many seniors who used the sword exclaimed in admiration. Even if it was an unorthodox method, it could still be considered to be at the peak of unorthodox methods. Moreover, the so-called unorthodox way of doing things was from their point of view. Without exception, these people were all leading figures in the way of the sword. Perhaps in their eyes, there weren't many people in the entire universe who weren't unorthodox. Yeah, you're just pretending to be humble. Su Luer also curled her lips. No matter how much she disliked Yi Zichen, she couldn't help but acknowledge Yi Zichen's swordsmanship. At the very least, on the 3 stars of that time, there was no one who could compare to the essence of the sword. Perhaps Great Emperor Baian's comprehension of the sword was slightly higher, but even so, Yi Zichen's understanding of the Tao of the sword wasn't as simple as he'd claimed. Yi Zichen shrugged sulkily and said nothing. Wei Lin and the others could sense it from Hua Jianrou and Su Luer's tone. Yi Zichen, who had been using elemental control all this time, was also unparalleled in his mastery of the sword, and might even be more refined than his own control of the elements. Was he still hiding something? Wei Lin and the others couldn't help but click their tongues. Back then, when he used elemental control, it was already frightening enough. Then, boss, Wei Lin pursed her lips and moved closer. You said that he was using his sword to conceal the silver wires, but if he was really setting up the silver wires, why didn't the Ironback Azure Bull run into them? Because his silver strands are chi. Yi Zichen pursed his lips and shook his head with a smile. He turned his aura into silver threads, then activated at the moment he drew his sword. Perhaps you don't understand. Is there any warrior who can be a lab rat? I'll demonstrate it for you. Me? If there was no accident, this silver thread should be the real reason why Liu Yan could remain undefeated. Everyone thought that he was an expert in the way of the sword, but no one could break his sword technique. In the end, the university described Liu Yan as a swift sword. However, she always had a doubt. No matter how fast the sword was, how could it be that fast? I really want to know the truth behind this. You? You can't. When he saw Wei Lin volunteer, Yi Zichen shook his head, then pointed at Tianjie. You. Tianjie, who was inexplicably named, stiffened. I choose you. As he pointed, Yi Zichen intentionally shot him a meaningful glance, then glanced at Su Luer. It was as if he was saying, I'm giving you a chance to perform, so you better grab it. Seeing this gaze, Tianjie immediately understood. The fear on his face was swept away as he walked forward with his chest puffed out and his head held high. Allow me. Very good. Then take 2 steps forward and backward. Yi Zichen pursed his lips and smiled. Tianjie followed Yi Zichen's instructions and walked about 10 meters back and forth. Is that enough? Enough. With that, Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows towards Wei Lin and company. See, there are no obstacles on the path he's walking on right now, and he didn't get hurt at all. But, Tianjie, take another step. Hearing that, Tianjie walked forward. When he took the 3rd step, he felt a line appear in front of his chest. There's a line. This wooden stick is for you. Yi Zichen chucked it over and muttered. Yi Zichen chucked the stick over and muttered. Use the stick to pass through that line. Tianjie swung the wooden stick towards the line without any hesitation. Crack! The wooden stick turned into 2. The neat gap made people's hearts palpitate. Tianjie, who was holding the wooden stick, widened his eyes. Fortunately, it was only a wooden stick. If it was him, he might have already been split in 2. Come. All of you can take a closer look. Yi Zichen waved his hand towards everyone, causing the air to appear in the air. You can see it now, right? This transparent line is the air I set up just now. It can disappear when I make it disappear. With that, Yi Zichen waved his arm a few times in the middle. It was completely fine. But when I make it appear, the airline appeared in front of everyone once again. Yi Zichen put his arm on it once more, and they could see that his arm was restrained by the airline, causing him to be unable to move any further. This sort of airline doesn't have any offensive power right now. How to make it offensive power is actually very simple. Just make this line vibrate. Then Yi Zichen took out another stick and waved it through the airline, causing it to instantly split in 2. See, the cut is very neat, as if it was cut by a sword. But in reality, it was me who amplified my air, causing it to have an extremely high cutting ability. The faster the frequency, the harder it can be cut. This is the principle behind Liu Yan's strike just now. Wei Lin stared at the thread of qi for a long time. So that's how it is. She didn't expect Yi Zichen to so easily solve the problem that all the academies couldn't solve for several years. Is this the strength of the Hero Academy's students? Bossy. At that moment, even Tianjie, who had never called Yi Zichen boss, pursed his lips. When did you set it up? Just now, Yi Zichen shrugged. Did you not know how I set it up because you thought that I didn't move? Do you want to know how I did it? It's simple because I'm strong. Yi Zichen smiled. Yi Zichen grinned. This sort of simple control trick is child's play for me. It's not difficult at all. I can set up a net of airlines with a single thought and instantly dismember you. All of a sudden, Tianjie took a few steps back. Suluer also looked at Yi Zichen in disdain, as if she was looking down on his cold joke. Now you understand, right? It's possible that he didn't reject the Hero Academy's invitation, or he wasn't chosen, Yi Zichen muttered. Yi Zichen murmured, because if someone sees through this kind of attack, they can instantly break through it. If someone can thread 10,000 lines with a single thought like mine, then there might be a way to fix it. However, someone like him needs plenty of time to weave a net. Once his net is broken, then he has no other methods. This sort of single method is really rather average. What's more, haven't you guys thought about it? If he's really as strong as you say, then why is he always number 2? Why doesn't he go and get number 1? Chapter 3007. These words might sound a little hurtful, but the truth was right there. If Lu Yin was really so invincible, why was he still in second place after entering the school? There must be a problem somewhere. Wei Lin and the others were speechless. Yi Zichen shrugged and shrugged. Of course, I can't say for sure. Everything I said just now is true. It's possible that he has other trump cards. In any case, this is all I can see from the sword he swung back then. You can say whatever you want. Hua, Jinro pouted. I'm just telling the truth. Yi Zichen shrugged. I just said what I know. As for the rest, I didn't see it. So what am I supposed to say? What should we do now? Meng Luo asked in a low voice. The guards had already been dealt with by them, and Lu Yin and the others were already heading towards the den of the Ironback Azurable leader. That was their trial target. What else can we do? Follow them. Yi Zichen shrugged. Are we going to fight them? Hua Jinro narrowed her eyes. No matter how easy Lu Yin had made it sound, she couldn't deny that Lu Yin was a threat to them. Do you have any battle plans? Who said anything about fighting? Said Yi Zichen. Didn't I say just now? We are the mantis stalking the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. We are going to take advantage of the situation. Yi Zichen squinted his eyes and shrugged. Even if they really did kill the leader of the Ironback Azurables, can't we just steal it back? It's so simple. Aren't you afraid that Big Sister Luer? Before Meng Luo could finish her sentence, Su Luer whispered, Don't worry. Let's go take a look. Su Luer, who'd been in favor of fighting the entire time, suddenly chose to observe. This surprised everyone. Only Yi Zichen smiled. He and Su Luer were actually quite similar in certain aspects. It was also possible that this was a resonance between experts. He knew very well why Su Luer didn't try to fight against the Ironback Azurables this time. The way she saw it, Lu Yin was a worthy opponent. However, no one liked to fight an unprepared battle. No matter how much Yi Zichen and Su Luer looked down on Lu Yin, in their hearts, actually, she did acknowledge him to a certain extent. It was very likely that this kind of opponent had other trump cards in their hands. It was better to fight them after figuring them out. That way, the chances of winning would be higher. It was good to play against experts and enjoy the fun of using trump cards. His life was more important. Yi Zichen raised his hand with a smile, then turned towards the others. Let's go. Big Sister Lu has already spoken. What else do you have to say? Let's try to finish the battle before it gets completely dark. If we return too late, the others will start worrying. Lu Yan's group. After removing the guard's tail, Lu Yin and the rest rushed to the iron-backed Azurable's den. During this time, there was a blond man in their group who looked at Lu Yin with amazement in his eyes. As expected of the sword god of the 3 academies. This sword move is really exquisite. What do you think? Ming Xiang's eyes were filled with pride. How can I, Ming Xiang, judge a person badly? Let me tell you, at least you know what's good for you, and let us accept your trial. If you really found someone else, forget about meeting the leader. You wouldn't even be able to get past the berserk guards. I'm afraid your graduation trial would be ruined. Lu Yan's mouth twitched when he heard that. She really didn't hide her love for him at all. Everyone knew about it when they were in school, and she's still so noisy when they're at the trial grounds. Women are so troublesome. The blond man couldn't help but smile wryly. Actually, it's not that exaggerated, right? Even if I really fail, I can come again next month. Isn't there no difference? You've already stayed back for so long. Aren't you embarrassed to stay for another month? Ming Xiang frowned. I'm not a repeat student. The blond young man smiled coyly. I'm a second-year student. I only have the qualifications to do a graduation mission, so I thought of doing a graduation mission to try. Ming Xiang remained silent. Very quickly, she looked at the blond young man in front of her, as if she was looking at an idiot. Then why did you use 25 million for the trial? Did you have a fever when you were young that damaged your brain? I thought you agreed because you were in a hurry. I didn't think that it was because you weren't smart enough. The blond young man didn't expect Ming Xiang to say that, causing the smile on his face to stiffen. Miss Ming Xiang, you're really direct. It's not a day or two that I'm direct. Everyone in the university knows that. Ming Xiang shrugged nonchalantly. The blond young man also smiled apologetically. I've heard a little about it. It could be seen that the other 6 people in this group also followed the blond young man here. From their positions and expressions, one could also tell that they should be the blond young man's subordinates or followers. However, in the face of Ming Xiang's slander of the blond young man, none of them stood up for him. In fact, this was very strange. Lu Yin took all of this into his eyes and remained silent. He actually didn't know Ming Xiang well. He only knew that they entered school on the same day. After that, there was an additional shadow in his life. He didn't know what Ming Xiang liked about him. He only knew that when the other students were accompanied by their families and he walked into the gate of the 3 schools alone, a beautiful figure suddenly appeared beside him. It was Ming Xiang. Ming Xiang had always been very mysterious. He had once seen the principal of the school following behind her with a cautious expression. The blond young man in front of him was the same. He didn't think that a person who could casually take out 25 million would be an ordinary citizen of the ancestral dragon clan. However, in the face of Ming Xiang's mockery, he could still maintain his smile. Perhaps his self-restraint made him not want to stoop to Ming Xiang's level. There was another possibility, which was that he was afraid of Ming Xiang and didn't dare to speak rudely to her. Who exactly are you? Lu Yin muttered in his heart, but he hid all of this in his heart. Mr. Lu Yin. At this moment, the blond young man suddenly spoke again. Lu Yin turned to look at him and heard the blond young man say with a smile, "With your strength, you should be able to graduate from the 3 schools. With your strength, you should be able to graduate from the 3 schools. It should be easy for you to go to the Hero Academy. Why do you still stay in the 3 schools?" Lu Yan's eyebrows immediately sank. Seeing this, Ming Xiang was also furious. She glared at the blond young man and scolded him. "Why do you have so much to say? Just wait for your trial item. I don't want to graduate, and I don't want to go to the Hero Academy." At this moment, Lu Yin, who was walking in front, said softly, "I have my goal. I won't leave before I complete it." Chapter 3008. A cold gaze shot out from Ming Xiang's eyes. Seeing the look in her eyes, the golden-haired youth and his subordinates couldn't help but tremble. "Lu Yin, don't mind them." Ming Xiang ran to Lu Yin with a smile and comforted him softly. "I'm fine. It's not a big deal." Lu Yin smiled. "We were just chatting. I like to chat with others too. All right, how should I address you?" Lu Yin tilted his head and looked at the blond youth beside him. "Gu Chong." "Gu." Lu Yin raised his eyebrows and nodded. "From the looks of it, your family should be quite wealthy. Otherwise, you wouldn't be so generous." "I'm all right." Gu Chong smiled and nodded. "My father is a businessman." "Trillion." "Yes." "Wow. I'm sorry for not recognizing you." Lu Yin quickly cupped his hands at Gu Chong. "You're actually the descendant of Trillion. No wonder you can give 25 million. Gu Chong, who was cupped, quickly stepped aside and bowed to return the greeting. "Mr. Lu, you're too polite. Trillion was created by my ancestor. It has nothing to do with me. I dare not accept such a big gift. You're really polite." Lu Yin looked at him and shrugged. "We're almost there. Do you want to wait here or follow me in?" "We forget it. Just wait here. You can talk to the people behind us." "There's people behind us." Gu Chang's eyes narrowed. Lu Yin shrugged nonchalantly. "They've been here for a long time. They were already here when we were dealing with the guards. Do you want to finish them off? Gu Chang asked. Why? How do you want to finish them off? Lu Yin was surprised. Don't do anything rash. Even if you want to fight, you're not their match. I can bribe them with points. This damn points tycoon. Can you give me the points you have? Lu Yin said half-jokingly. Using points to bribe them? You're quite creative. Let them follow. Won't they interfere with our trial? Let them come. Lu Yin said calmly. I wanted to meet them. It's always fun to compete with experts. Isn't that the case? Mr. Lu, you're indeed extraordinary. Gu Chang chuckled. Then, how do I give you my points? 10 minutes later, Lu Yin silently looked at the 10 million points in his identity card and was a little lost in thought. You're really giving it to me? He had just casually asked for 10 million, but Gu Chang had transferred it to his ID card without hesitation. Did these people really not take points seriously? You really gave it to me? Yes. Lu Yin didn't say a word. Ignore him. Why wouldn't you want the points? Ming Xiang tugged at Lu Yan's arm. Stupid people have a lot of points. Isn't it a good thing to give us points? Lu Yin, who was being dragged, looked at her silently and whispered in his heart. These points seem to be given to me because of you, don't they? All of a sudden, a gust of wind filled with a fishy stench suddenly blew over from afar. Everyone felt that the surrounding air had become much more humid and could even be said to be somewhat sticky. Lowering his head, he could see a pale yellow liquid hanging from his clothes. It gave off a pungent stench. It actually came out by itself. Lu Yin stretched lazily and glanced at the liquid on his body. He couldn't help but cover his nose. This smell is really pungent. Ah! Ming Xiang screamed from afar. Lu Yin hurriedly looked at her. So disgusting. He saw Ming Xiang looking at the liquid on his clothes in disgust. From time to time, she bent over as if she was about to vomit. Why is the wind like this? This isn't the wind. Look up. Immediately, everyone raised their heads and saw a mountain that was hundreds of meters tall standing in front of them. In front of them, there was a huge head that was opening its bloody mouth at them. This iron-backed green bull leader. The few people beside Gu Chang immediately stood in front of him. At this moment, they should have understood that the liquid just now was most likely its saliva. The humidity in the air was probably its breath. Blarg, Ming Xiang, who saw this scene, wanted to vomit even more. What are you guys still standing here for? Don't you want to run? Lu Yin tilted his head and looked at Gu Chang and the others. This is a leader. If it's not berserk, it's sky rank. If it's berserk, it's cloud rank. If you guys don't retreat now, you might not be able to in a while. It's giving you guys time to think. Mr. Lu, are you going to fight it alone? Gu Chang was shocked. What else? Lu Yin shrugged. I've already taken the points. I can't just retreat. I also want to meet this leader. Then I wish Mr. Lu victory. Gu Chang did not hesitate to retreat. He could feel that he was definitely not on the same level as the iron-backed Green Bull leader in front of him. If he stayed there, he would only die. He would also become Lu Yan's burden. These guards, too. He could be sure that these guards would not be of any help. Ming Xiang, you leave too. Lu Yin frowned. Ming Xiang had already taken off her jacket and threw it on the ground. She sniffed at the scent on her arm. Her eyes were filled with disgust, but she still frowned stubbornly. I'm not leaving. Hurry up and leave. There's no point in you staying here. Lu Yin said. How is there no point? I can help you restrain it. Ming Xiang frowned. Lu Yin patted her head. There's no need to restrain it. I can feel that this guy in front of me is ridiculously strong. I can only take care of myself. Don't add to my burden. You actually think I'm a burden? Ming Xiang glared. Fine, I'll leave. Ming Xiang angrily waved her hand and ran outside, looking into the distance. During this time, Lu Yin kept an eye on their situation. After confirming that they had reached a safe location, he slowly raised his hand and looked at the huge head. It's just the two of us now. Puny humans. How dare you trespass into this king's territory? A deafening roar came from above their heads, and everyone was stunned by the deafening sound. You can still speak? Lu Yin looked up. It's even better that you can. Let them go. We'll fight one-on-one. Just because of you, you little worm. Don't look down on humans. Lu Yin said in a low voice. Do you want to see how the 6 guards outside died? It was very tragic. Soon, you'll be like them. Prepare to pay your last respects. Chapter 3009. Roar. A deafening roar was accompanied by a violent gust of wind. The weeds that were as tall as a person were forced to the ground by the pressure of the gust of wind. The gust of wind was like a steel knife, causing people's skin to involuntarily feel a stinging pain. The earth cracked. It was a towering, ancient tree that rose from the ground. The roots of the ancient tree buried in the ground seemed to have lifted up the entire earth and swept 1,000 meters away by the gust of wind. The sand and stones on the ground danced. During this time, Lu Yin maintained his smile as he silently looked at the colossus above his head. It did not move at all. Ming Xiang and Gu Chang, who had already retreated 1,000 meters away, could feel the pressure brought by the gust of wind even though they were 1,000 meters away. Ming Xiang frowned and used her finger to block in front of her eyes. Gu Chang's guards also turned into human shields to block the howling gust of wind. This is the leader of the Ironback Azure Bulls. The words of Gu Chang, who was standing at the back, were lingering with an astonishment that was difficult to calm down. He did not even dare to think that if the person standing in Lu Yan's position was him, would he be able to be as steady as Lu Yan? He would probably be like those ancient trees that rose from the ground and blown 1,000 meters away by the gust of wind. Too terrifying. From the roar, just now, Gu Chang could already feel the power that the leader of the Ironback Azure Bulls possessed. It was hard to imagine, could it really be suppressed by a human? That huge body was like an ancient god, with green scales that flickered with fluorescent light. At a glance, one could feel its peerless defensive power. Its entire body was covered in a layer of armor that did not even leave a single gap. Its 4 mountain-like limbs were like 4 pillars that could shake the heavens. Its sharp claws dug deep into the soil, gleaming with a cold light. It gave people the illusion that if they stood in front of it, they would be torn apart by its sharp claws. Could anyone withstand one of its claws? The sharp horns on its head, the seemingly blunt teeth that had astonishing biting power. It could be said that the leader of the Ironback Azure Bulls did not have any weaknesses. As long as it stood there, it was a fortress that was equipped with sharp weapons of war. Just one look at it would cause people to feel fear. In the elementary training area, when its strength was suppressed to the human level, could it really fall in the hands of humans? Red Eyes. This Ironback Green Bull leader is also in a berserk state. One of the Bone Cauldron attendants said softly, according to the records, the Ironback Green Bull leader is Sky rank when it's not in a berserk state. In a berserk state, it could reach the peak of Rainbow Cloud rank, or even touch the doorstep of Immortal rank. At this level, even in the intermediate training zone, he would be able to stand at the front line. Why did they leave such a monster in the primary trial zone? Another waiter whispered, "This is something that humans can't defeat. We are at the human realm. This place is already disadvantageous to us, and you still want to keep this vicious beast." If other people were to encounter the berserk Ironback Azure Bull chief, who would be able to complete this trial? Gasps of astonishment rang out one after another, but Gu Chang did not gasp in astonishment like his guards. At the end of the day, he was also a person of status. Even if he was shocked and in disbelief, he would not do such a thing out of consideration for his status and identity. "Miss Ming Xiang, we can withdraw from the trial. Why should I retreat? You don't want to give me your points?" Ming Xiang tilted her head and frowned at Gu Chang. "Don't even think about it. We can't return the points that we have received. It doesn't matter. For a child like him who lived in a family with 1,000,000,000,000 yuan, points were not particularly important to him. Tens of millions of yuan was no different from tens of points in his eyes. He would not care about it at all. What he cared about was Lu Yan's safety, or rather, Ming Xiang. He could feel that Ming Xiang cared about Lu Yan a lot. If something were to happen to him during the trial, Ming Xiang would blame it on him. His family might not be able to withstand the anger of Ming Xiang's family. When Ming Xiang extorted him and asked him to raise her points, he agreed without any hesitation. A large part of the reason was that he wanted to leave a good impression in Ming Xiang's heart. Others might not know, but he had once seen Ming Xiang from afar when he went out with his elders. He knew Ming Xiang's true background. It was terrifying. At least, He could not imagine who would dare to provoke the power behind her. Even if his family was worth billions, he was as humble as an ant in front of Ming Xiang's family. One could imagine the strength of her background. He came here to make friends, not to instigate hatred. He did not care about the points. You're very strange. Suddenly, Ming Xiang's eyes darkened. She looked at the golden-haired Gu Chang and frowned. Do you know who I am? I don't care if you know or not. I hope you can keep your mouth shut. Ming Xiang frowned. If you don't know, then don't think of investigating me. If you know, as long as I hear a word about me from your mouth, your Gu family will disappear from the ancestral dragon tribe. Ming Bai, Gu Chang muttered. Seems like you do know. Ming Xiang squinted her eyes and smiled. How did you know about me? Once in England. Ming Xiang's expression changed. Gu Chang quickly swallowed the words that he was about to say. Once, I followed my elders to a banquet and was fortunate enough to see you and your father at the side table. It was about 20 years ago. I was only 9 years old then. You actually recognized me. Ming Xiang muttered. I dare not forget. All right, I more or less know who you are. Your family's ancestor is the Bone Sovereign King? Yes. On account of your family's ancestor, I can overlook your intentional approach. Ming Xiang muttered. All right, relax. If Lu Yin finds out, even your family's ancestor won't be able to protect you. I know. Gu Chang nodded forcefully. Lady Ming Xiang, now you will be fine. Ming Xiang pursed her lips and smiled at Lu Yin. Aren't you guys curious why there's a berserk green bull leader in the elementary training zone? The purpose of its existence is to select talent for the ancestral dragon tribe. Only a true genius can sever the tail of the iron-backed green bull leader. These geniuses will be the focus and groomed by the ancestral dragon tribe. Ming Xiang smiled and looked up. He is a genius among geniuses. Just watch him kill the berserk iron-backed green bull leader. But remember, do you know how to pay him extra for his hard work? Of course. The descendants of the Gu family are getting more and more spineless. Ming Xiang shook her head and sighed. I feel sorry for the Bone Sovereign King. Chapter 30:10. Facing Ming Xiang's undisguised sigh, Gu Chang did not dare to be rash. The ancestral dragon clan had a long history. As time passed, countless clans that once stood at the peak of the world gradually declined, while new clans emerged one after another. Times changed. Undeniably, the Bone Clan was a clan that had started to decline. In the past, even the heroes of the Dragon Clan had to show some respect to the Bone Sovereign. However, it was a pity that the Bone Sovereign was too dazzling, so much so that no one in the later generations could reach his level. Although the Bone Sovereign King was still alive, but old age had a huge impact on one's strength. In order to live longer, intimidate the other clans, protect the clan, and wait for the birth of a new seed, he rarely left the clan, staying in seclusion to prolong his life. Gu Chang could not refute Ming Xiang's words. Ming Xiang's clan had many capable people, enjoying the blessings of heaven and earth. Her father was in the prime of his life. Her uncles were all god kings, countless heavenly gods and deities. This was a big clan, so big that even the heroes did not dare to influence the clan's decision. Don't be discouraged. The Bone Sovereign King also came from nothing. Ming Xiang patted Gu Chang's shoulder. Your descendants are already very good. They have a higher starting point. Although the Bone Sovereign King has declined, his strength of character still remains in the hearts of the people. Back then, the Bone Sovereign King fought against the 8 demon masters. My father and ancestors were also shocked. Unfortunately, the Bone Sovereign King's hidden illness relapsed. Otherwise, your Bone Sovereign King would not have declined to this extent. Yes, Tianming will remember the Bone Sovereign King. Everything he did for the ancestral dragon clan was seen by Tianming. The Bone Sovereign King will not break. Ming Xiang consoled softly. Her eyes were filled with emotions. You learn some of the Bone Sovereign King's strength of character. If your backbone is gone, how will your Bone Sovereign King be reborn? If you bow and scrape, you will only be his servant. Back then, your clan was on the same level as my clan. Lady Ming Xiang. Gu Chang's eyes were filled with gratitude. Watch carefully. Your ancestor might be as dazzling as him back then. Ming Xiang stared at Lu Yan's back. Watching more might give you some inspiration. Cultivate more, don't be unscrupulous. Half of the reason your family declined was because you were too focused on business and forgot the original purpose of martial arts. I will remember Miss Ming Xiang's teachings. Gu Cheng's expression was filled with seriousness and gratitude as he looked at Lu Yan and said, Miss Ming Xiang is very confident in Mr. Lu. Is your family trying to recruit Mr. Lu? My family doesn't even know him. Ming Xiang shrugged and said, Do you think my family would keep an eye on a junior for no reason? His talent is not bad, but he's not good enough to catch the attention of my clan. Why does this sound so awkward? She had just said that Lu Yan had the elegance of the Bone King, and now she was saying that he wasn't worthy of her clan's attention. Wasn't that implying that the Bone King wasn't worthy of her clan's attention? Gu Che was at a loss. He thought to himself, just who did my old ancestor offend? Why is he so sarcastic? Of course, he understood what Ming Xiang was trying to say. Lu Yan wasn't worthy of her family's attention. Although they were talented, it was not rare for geniuses to die young in the history of the ancestral dragon race. It was extremely rare for geniuses to grow to the god or heavenly god level. At the very least, such geniuses were worthy of being recruited and nurtured by big families. However, Ming Xiang's family didn't think much of them. This was the confidence of a big family. There were so many experts in the clan that they didn't lack one or two geniuses. Ming Xiang wasn't in the mood to care about what Gu Che was thinking. She was just giving face to the Bone King. She thought of the praise the clan had for the Bone King and wanted to give his junior some confidence. As for the rest, she focused all her attention on Lu Yan. Whoosh! A cool breeze blew. After the ironback green bull roared, it didn't continue roaring. Lu Yan, who was standing below it, stood with his hands behind his back. The man and the bull just stared at each other. It had to admit that the little worm in front of it was quite capable, to be able to remain unmoved under its sudden attack. He was no better than those little worms that would pee their pants and run away when they saw it. But that was all. Human, you have to pay for your arrogance. The ironback green bull slowly raised its head. Only now did everyone see that the ironback green bull was actually bending its body. When it stood up straight, it seemed to have reached the clouds. You have to pay for your arrogance as well. Lu Yan said softly, Ironback Green Bull King, are you prepared to die? With a flick of his right hand, a silver sword landed in his hand. This sword was the one he had used to deal with the six-headed guard earlier. You humans really like to boast. The ironback green bull's eyes were scarlet red. You are as insignificant as an ant. You actually want to kill a god? Suddenly, the ironback green bull raised its front foot and covered Lu Yan's head. It was a huge foot. Under its foot, Lu Yan was so insignificant that he wasn't even worth mentioning. Just this foot alone was enough to deal with hundreds of Lu Yans. Now, I only need to step on you lightly, and you will turn into dust. The ironback green bull's tone was somewhat mocking. Blood will flow, and flesh will fly. Your bones will be crushed into powder by me, and you will disappear from this world forever. That seems to be the case. Lu Yan smiled noncommittally. Then do you choose to howl? I like the sound of you humans howling. If you face the fear in your heart now, I might spare your life. Thank you, Ironback Green Bull King, for your benevolence. Lu Yan's expression didn't change. He lowered his eyes and said softly, I really want to face my fear. Unfortunately, with you here, my heart hasn't grown. But considering the kindness you have shown me, I can consider leaving your corpse intact. I will only take your tail and report back to you. Or you can cut off your own tail and hand it over to me. You can still stay here and be your king. If you insist on fighting, you will have to say goodbye to this world. All right, you should thank me. Your previous leaders were all killed by me. Without me, you might not be able to reach your current position. Human, you are provoking me. To the ironback green bull, its tail was like its dignity. Having its tail taken away was the most humiliating thing for an ironback green bull. No ironback green bull would allow its tail to be taken away while it was still alive. But now Lu Yan actually wanted it to cut off its tail to preserve its life. I hope you can let me enjoy myself. Lu Yan smiled as he walked out from the shadow of the ironback green bull's foot. He cupped his fists. Junior Lu Yin, may I be so bold as to ask the Ironback Green Bull King to die. Chapter 3011. Red Packet Server, Chapter 3006. Shocking defense. Please wait for a moment. After the content has been updated, please refresh the page to receive the latest update. Chapter 3012. Red Packet Server, Chapter 3007. Ironback Green Bull King, you're nothing. Currently typing. Please wait for a moment. After the content has been updated, please refresh the page to receive the latest update. Chapter 3013. Puny Human. The Ironback Azure Bull's huge body was like that of a demonic god as it stomped on the ground. Come on, beat me to death? Catch up to me and stomp me to death if you dare. Stupid bull. Puny human? You're not even qualified to be a doorkeeper in the eyes of us humans. Lu Yin laughed. Then, he intentionally stopped for a bit and used all sorts of words to provoke the Ironback Azure Bull King, causing the flames in his heart to burn brighter and brighter. What's this guy doing? Why did he come over to our side? Meng Luo frowned. Yi Zichen twisted his neck and looked towards Su Lu. Lu, Urgia, what do you say? Since we've already found him, then let's do some exercise. All of a sudden, Su Lu's eyes turned icy blue, and a cold aura was released from her feet. All right. Yi Zichen didn't hesitate. He licked his lips and said to Meng Luo and company, back off. Great deity, I can help you. Meng Luo's expression tensed. She was very afraid of huge, ferocious beasts like the Ironback Azure Bulls. It was a natural fear of the spiritual rabbits. However, this fear wasn't the kind that was ingrained in their bones. At the moment, the spiritual rabbits were one of the top races in the entire human universe. As their race grew stronger, the fear they had towards huge, ferocious beasts had lessened by a lot. Little Meng Luo was willing to help Yi Zichen fight against the Ironback Azure Bull King. Little fellow, you don't need to do anything right now. Yi Zichen rubbed her head. Yi Zichen caressed her head. Retreat with Hua Jianro and company, too. Do you see those people? Just meet up with them. Yi Zichen pointed towards Ming Xiang and company. Meng Luo frowned. Why are we meeting up with them? Wouldn't that just expose us? Also, great deity, do you dislike me? Actually, I'm pretty amazing as well. Of course I know you're amazing. Yi Zichen pursed his lips and smiled, while his eyes were filled with sincerity. Meng Luo, you have to know, experts only act when they're in danger. You and Hua Jinro stay behind and support us. Asking you to go to those people is also giving you a difficult task. What mission? Meng Luo frowned. Keep an eye on them. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. They probably already knew that we were here. It wasn't a coincidence that Lu Yin ran towards us. He intentionally wanted to drag us into this. Since we've already been exposed, we'll definitely have to fight for the Oxdale in the end. Keep an eye on them. Don't let them disturb me, and Understood. They might launch a sneak attack. Meng Luo said seriously. Yes, little Meng Luo is so smart. Yi Zichen pinched Meng Luo's cheeks. I'll leave this difficult task to you and Hua Jianro. You two must keep an eye on them. If anyone dares to ambush them, just kick them. Reporting to the Commander-in-Chief. I guarantee that the mission will be completed. It's coming. Wei Lin yelled, wide-eyed. Su Lu'er, who was standing at the very front, suddenly unleashed her aura and reached out with her right hand. Boom! 100-meter-tall ice wall instantly condensed. Yi Zichen glanced over, then indicated towards Meng Luo. Go quickly. Oh! Meng Luo hurried over to Xiang Ming and company with the others. In less than half a minute, the ice wall formed by Su Lu'er already began to crack. What a tall ice wall! Gu Chang couldn't help but exclaim. Ming Xiang frowned as she looked in the direction of the ice wall. Not long later, she saw Meng Luo and company dashing through the bushes. Young master, there's someone, Gu Chang's guard said softly. Meng Luo ran at the very front and charged towards them, then stopped around 50 meters away. Her face froze, and she lifted her chin at Ming Xiang and the others before turning her head away. Miss Ming Xiang. Gu Chang's tone was a bit testing. Ming Xiang glanced at Meng Luo and company and shook her head. No need to care about them. Just let them stay there. All right, they're ignoring us. Lu Tian tilted her head and looked towards Ming Xiang. Lu Tian tilted her head and sneaked a peek at Ming Xiang. The person over there seems to be Ming Xiang from the three schools. Meng Luo raised her head proudly and snorted. If they dare to cause trouble, then I'll beat them up. The great god said that if they dare to move, then I'll give them a kick. Remember this. Keep an eye on them. Meng Luo, the way you're giving orders. Hua, General muttered. What? The great god isn't here, so I'll just wave my hand. Meng Luo pursed her lips and looked up. Meng Luo pursed her lips and raised her head. Listen to me. Keep an eye on them. With that, Meng Luo put her hands on her hips and stared at Xiang Ming and company. Nobody move. I'll kick anyone who dares to move. Hey, there's actually someone here. While Su Lu'er was fending off the ferocious beasts in the distance, Lu Yin ran over as if he didn't know anything. Pretend? You're going to continue pretending? Yi Zichen looked down at Lu Yin, who was covered in wounds. When did you notice us? What did you notice? You're going to continue pretending? Yi Zichen frowned and muttered. Friend, there's no need to hide like this, right? You're so mean. You angered the Ironback Blue Bull King. Then you came to find us? Don't you have any shame? What do I need face for? Can I live? Lu Yin shrugged and didn't try to hide it anymore. What's more, you guys are the ones following us. The Ironback Blue Bull King isn't easy to deal with, and there's a spy following us. I definitely had to come and find you guys. If we're going to kill, then we'll kill together. As for how we split the spoils, we'll just have to rely on our own abilities. Speaking of which, your team is pretty good. Which school are you from? These sisters are truly amazing at using ice. Ah, speaking of which, why do you look so familiar? Bad memory? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. We've definitely met before, Lu Yin said seriously. Lu Yin said seriously. There aren't many people that I can remember. When did we meet? You look really familiar. Have we fought before? Oh, I remember now. Lu Yin suddenly pointed at Yi Zichen. It's you guys. Didn't you guys come from the Hero Academy for a trial? Your trial is this Ironback Blue Bull King as well. Bro, we really are fated. We met when you guys just arrived, and now we meet again at the Ironback Blue Bull King's place. F***CK. Yi Zichen really didn't know if he was pretending or if he just realized it. With that, Lu Yin looked at Su Lu'er, who was releasing her ice aura. As expected of someone from the Hero Academy, your ice mastery is truly amazing. Do you want to spar? Su Lu'er turned around. I'm pretty attached to you. Let's fight later? How about it? You guys are 2 against 1. Lu Yin looked between Su Lu'er and Yi Zichen. That's not fair, right? The moment he said that, Su Lu'er shook her head. 1-on-1. Come? Chapter 30:14. 1-on-1. Lu Yin frowned and subconsciously looked towards Yi Zichen's direction. Don't look at me. This is my sister-in-law. Whatever she says is the law. Yi Zichen shrugged. Hearing that, Lu Yin was stunned. Sister-in-law? Bro, you got married? What's so strange about that? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. I've lived for several hundred years. Is getting married something so shocking? Wow, a married man. Coming out with his sister-in-law for a private date? Lu Yin raised his eyebrows in shock. Bro, isn't your method a bit wild? Zoom! Before Yi Zichen could reply, a sharp ice spike suddenly shot out from under Lu Yin's feet. Lu Yin practically jumped away in a conditioned reflex. After retreating several meters away, he frowned. So unfriendly? You better be careful when you speak. My sister-in-law has a bad temper, Yi Zichen muttered. Yi Zichen muttered. You might chop off my head if I'm not careful. I felt it. With that, Lu Yin shook his head behind him. When he leapt up into the air and retreated, Ming Xiang moved subconsciously, while Meng Luo also squinted her eyes and stared at her. The 2 of them nearly started fighting. It seems like you guys are worried about us as well. You sent people to watch over us? Aren't you the same? Yi Zichen smiled, while Lu Yin smiled. The 2 of them didn't say anything. Who would believe who? This was a training area in the wilderness. There was only one Ironback Azure Bull, and both sides were coincidentally at this place, so both sides were determined to get the tail of the Ironback Azure Bull. Of course, there were still some considerations. They didn't know each other, so they were all afraid of each other stabbing them in the back. Lu Yin told Ming Xiang and company to retreat because of this concern. If Yi Zichen and company ambushed them, then Ming Xiang and company could counterattack. If everyone went to deal with the Ironback Azure Bulls, then their backs would be in danger. What surprised him was that Yi Zichen and company actually thought of this as well. As expected, great minds think alike. Lu Yin smiled. Lu Yin smiled and walked up to the icicle. He touched it lightly with his finger. In that instant, his arm was pierced, causing blood to flow out from his finger. So sharp, Lu Yin, whose finger had been pierced, raised his eyebrows in surprise. He grinned and said, "Impressive. Miss, your attainments in the ice element are indeed very high. At least among all the people I've met, no one has reached such a level. Instant ice thorns, and the design is still so perfect. You flatter me. Do you want to fight?" Su Luer frowned. This. Lu Yin hesitated. "Actually, I also like to fight with experts, but I don't like to fight with women." "What do you mean? Are you looking down on women?" No. Lu Yin hurriedly shook his head and said, "Nowadays, women can also shoulder half the sky. There is no doubt about this. If anyone dares to look down on women, I will be the first to object. Moreover, the current ruling master is also a female. Who would dare to look down on you guys?" "Then what do you mean?" Su Luer frowned. "It's a competition after all. It's inevitable that there will be some contact. But if the fight really gets heated up, who can guarantee that there will be contact? You guys should understand." Lu Yin grinned. "In order to avoid unnecessary misunderstandings, I won't compete with women." "TSK, wait a moment." Yi Zichen patted Lu Yin's shoulder. "Bro, there's something wrong with your words. I'm telling you, you better behave. Otherwise, even if Luer doesn't mess with you, my fist might leave a dent in your head." "What do you mean there? What physical contact? If you want to compete, then compete properly and stop. Of course, there might be some unavoidable physical contact, but as long as you have a clear conscience, then no one would say anything." Lu Yin specifically mentioned it. This little old man felt like he did it on purpose. He already had dirty thoughts from the start. "I'm just speaking the truth," Lu Yin said bitterly. Bro, don't think too much. I'm truly afraid of that. Last time I was sparring with a girl, and then there was a problem, right? Her family chased me for 30-something years. I'm truly afraid, otherwise I wouldn't have said that. I'm a martial artist, not a pervert. I don't care about that. Do you want to fight?" Su Luer frowned. "No, I don't really. I want to fight you," Su Luer said. Su Luer said relentlessly. "Ugh." Lu Yin looked at Yi Zichen with a frown, as if he wanted Yi Zichen to speak up for him. In response, Yi Zichen shrugged helplessly. How could he possibly persuade Su Luer? He might be able to say a few words to her when necessary, but if he dared meddle in a sparring match like this, Sister Luer was probably going to offer him a knife as a sacrifice. "If you really want to fight with me, it's not impossible." Lu Yin muttered to himself for a long time, then sighed and said, "I also said that I like to fight with experts. When you said you were from the Hero Academy, I wanted to, I don't know how to address you." "His surname is Yi." Yi Zichen muttered. "Oh, this Mr. Yi is fighting." Lu Yin said politely in a low voice, "But, anyway, if that's right, Luer, you don't mind some unspeakable contact, then I can compete with you." It was a sparring match, after all. It was good to stop at the appropriate point and allow each other to improve. "All right, how about we start now?" Lu Yin was momentarily stunned. He tilted his head and looked at the ice wall in front of him. "Wait, don't we need to take care of the Ironback Azure Bull King? Even if we want to spar. How about we spar after we finish it off?" In fact, this was Lu Yin's plan. The Ironback Azure Bull King in front of him was a bit special. He might have a chance to finish it off by himself, but it would take a lot of effort. If the three of them fought together, he would be able to see their strengths. However, if he slacked off, he would waste their energy. When that happened, Su Luer naturally wouldn't have the energy to challenge him, and he would be able to snatch the oxtail from them, killing two birds with one stone. There was no reason not to. As for sparring, he could spar with Yi Zichen, but he was truly afraid of sparring with a woman. He would never be able to forget the memory of being hunted down for 30 years. During that period of time, he couldn't even sleep well. Several times, when he was asleep, his pursuers would come and almost cut off his dog head with a single slash. There was still a scar on the top of his head, which was left behind when he was fleeing for his life. "We can spar after we finish it off." Su Luer frowned. "Yes, all right, then I'll kill it right now." With that, Su Luer snapped her fingers, causing a small planet of ice to shoot through the sky like a comet. Chapter 30:15. Red Packet Server, Chapter 30:10. Accept the trial of ice. Please wait for a moment. After the content has been updated, please refresh the page to receive the latest update. Chapter 30:16. Red Packet Server, Chapter 30:11. Let me add one more stab. Please wait for a moment. After the content has been updated, please refresh the page to get the latest update. Chapter 30:17. After a full half an hour, when the icy wind dissipated and everyone crawled out of the grass, they discovered that the place had turned into a world of ice and snow. 1,000 miles of ice, 10,000 miles of snow. Snowflakes fell from the sky, turning the area where the ironback azure bulls lived into a vast expanse of snow. Amazing! Luyan stared at the scene in shock. When he saw the snowflakes, he subconsciously reached out and caught them. This was real snow. The ground was covered in pure white snow. The surrounding grass was covered in a layer of white frost, and the towering ancient trees were covered in silver. The area where the ironback azure bulls lived was a bit like a tropical climate. The rain was sparse and normal. Snow. Here, it was impossible to see snow even once in a few decades, or even centuries. Unfortunately, Su Luer had relied solely on her own strength to turn the tides of this place around. What kind of control did she have? Wherever she was the ruler of this place. Big Sister Luer is so strong. Meng Luo silently looked up at the sky and the falling snowflakes. Her heart was filled with astonishment and awe. In just half an hour, this place had transformed into a snowy village in the northern lands. Our human race has truly produced a peerless genius. Hua Jinro sighed softly, giving Su Luer an extremely high evaluation. This was her acknowledgement of Su Luer. If this was said by a senior, then so be it. But what right did Hua Jinro have to evaluate the Empress of Ice, Su Luer? Little did they know. She was speaking from the perspective of her family. The Hua clan, one of the 4 great clans of Planet Een. Every year, her clan received the allegiance of large numbers of geniuses. Having grown up in such a clan, she had been influenced by what she saw and heard. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that in her eyes. Geniuses were nothing more than that. To give a simple example, even if a genius like Steelbad stood in front of her, she wouldn't even bother to show him any respect if it weren't for his family. She had the qualifications. She was truly the eldest daughter of a peak-level clan. She was also the clan leader of the Hua clan, the successor and the decision-maker. In terms of rank, her position was not inferior to that of the Milky Way Lord. She should also be acquainted with the 8 powerhouses and the leaders of the peak races. Even sovereigns and overlords couldn't just treat her as a junior. She represented the entire Hua clan. But at that moment, she was thoroughly subdued by Su Luer. With her understanding, control, and attainments in the ice element, it was hard to say how high her achievements would be in the future, but in the future, perhaps the moment she stepped into the realm of a monarch, venerable overlords would no longer be a match for her. She would become the strongest person below the venerable overlords. Just based on her current understanding of ice, even if she stagnated in the future, her current comprehension would be enough for her to live a carefree life as long as her strength increased. Such a genius was too terrifying. It was so scary that she began to understand the morbid psychology of some families. If he couldn't get her, he would destroy her. If such a genius was allowed to mature, she would shake the entire universe. No clan or race would be able to escape. It would be good if they could obtain her favor, but if they were to become her enemy, who could be her match? A supreme being? Fortunately, she had a good relationship with Luer. Furthermore, she was Yi Zichen's sister-in-law and Su Yan's older sister. She was a genius of the Milky Way. Hua Jinro couldn't help but sigh in relief. If she came from an enemy, even if Hua Jinro wasn't a vicious person, She might even use all of her resources to destroy her. Wei Lin and the others didn't need to say anything. They were all dumbfounded. Tian Jie had wanted to show off in front of Su Luer, but when he saw the scene with his own eyes and felt the coldness around him, he truly shrank back. No matter how confident or unwilling he was, knew full well he wasn't worthy of the Empress. He couldn't help but sigh. In this world, was there really someone who could obtain her favor and control her? He didn't dare to imagine what kind of hero he would be if such a person really existed. There's actually a genius like that in this world. Gu Chong was stunned by the ice and snow beneath his feet. The image of Bing Xing descending from the sky lingered in his mind. Too terrifying. He subconsciously looked at Ming Xiang, only to notice that Ming Xiang's eyes were also filled with shock. For Miss Ming Xiang to care about someone so much, Gu Chong was absolutely certain. That person was a peerless genius. It was undeniable that Ming Xiang was stunned by Su Luer's generosity. In her memories, or in the millions of years of her family's historical inheritance, or in the ancient records of her family, she actually couldn't find a genius that could compare to him. She was the only one. No one in history, and perhaps in the future. It would be very difficult for anyone to reach her level. According to her family, someone like that was born to save the world. They came to overcome a calamity. Normally, such a genius would never be born. In other words, was there really going to be a calamity? The one who came was such a stunning genius. Bro, where did you learn your sister-in-law's control? Lu Yin pursed his lips and frowned. Can you introduce me to that teacher? I want to learn as well. Do you think she was taught by someone? No. Lu Yin shook his head without hesitation. He couldn't imagine just what kind of existence could raise such a monstrous genius. Someone like that definitely wouldn't be unknown. Although there were plenty of people in the ancestral dragon clan's history who could control ice, he'd never heard of any of them reaching such a level. But it was precisely this sort of self-study that was even more unbelievable. In front of her, any genius would pale in comparison. She was like a sun, and those so-called geniuses were not even comparable to fireflies in front of her. How could fireflies compete with the radiance of the sun? There was no comparison at all. You guys aren't from the ancestral dragon clan, right? Lu Yin suddenly muttered to himself for a moment. You're the human geniuses who came to our ancestral dragon clan not long ago, right? You can tell. Yi Zichen smiled non-committally. Let me say something rather depressing. I don't think our ancestral dragon clan is worthy of such a genius. Lu Yin shook his head and sneered. Our ancestral dragon clan isn't worthy, really. Bro, I'm not slandering our ancestral dragon clan, but a genius like that really doesn't deserve to appear in our clan. I'm happy for her as well. It's fortunate that she's human. So fortunate. Yi Zichen couldn't help but frown when he heard those words. What do you mean? The ancestral dragon clan isn't worthy of a genius like Su Lu? Why did you say that? Yi Zichen could clearly tell from Lu Yan's tone that there was a deeper meaning behind his words. Why isn't the ancestral dragon clan worthy? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. No matter what, it's your hometown. Don't you think that's a bit heartless? It just isn't worthy. All of a sudden, Lu Yan's expression was filled with resentment. Unworthy. Unworthy. Chapter 30:18. He could sense it. Lu Yan seemed to have a deep grudge against the ancestral dragon clan. The hatred in his eyes wasn't fake. He really did hate the clan, but Yi Zichen couldn't figure out where that hatred came from. Genius. He just mentioned that the ancestral dragon clan didn't deserve geniuses. Could it be that Lu Yan felt unjust because of what happened to him? Or was it because one of his peerless friends, family, or brothers wasn't valued by the ancestral dragon clan? There were many possibilities, but Yi Zichen didn't dare say where it came from. But Yi Zichen liked people who offended the ancestral dragon clan. As the saying went, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Lu Yan's dislike of the ancestral dragon clan actually made Yi Zichen feel a lot more pleasing to the eye. Of course, Yi Zichen wasn't stupid enough to tell him about his grudge with the Lord of Judgment. There was no need. They just met by chance. He wasn't like Jiang Nan, who'd met her in prison. What's more, her father had been killed by the Lord of Evil. Her hatred towards the ancestral dragon clan was understandable. That was why Yi Zichen chose to work with her. If Lu Yin could interact more in the future, they'd understand each other to a certain extent. If he could confirm that Lu Yin could be a comrade, then it wouldn't be impossible for him to be a bit more generous. At least not now. Sorry. After a brief moment of silence, Lu Yin suddenly scratched his head and laughed. Don't think too much about it. I was just feeling a little emotional just now. I didn't mean anything else. The ancestral dragon clan has already started to decline. Even a genius like your sister-in-law would find it hard to have a good development here. What's more, the ancestral dragon clan recently introduced a point protection policy. Strength isn't as important here as before. The way I see it, the higher-ups of the ancestral dragon clan's decision will only cause the clan to decline further and further until it's completely destroyed. Point protection policy? From what you're saying, it seems like it was just introduced recently. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. Actually, I can't say it's just recently, muttered Lu Yin. If you're human, then you should know the Milky Way Master. He should be famous in the human race. I do. We heard that it was related to the Master of the Galaxy. Yi Zichen's heart sank. The point protection policy was pushed out by him when he came to the Ancestral Dragon Tribe. Lu Yin chuckled. I suspect that the heroes of the Ancestral Dragon Tribe realized that they couldn't control the Milky Way Overlord's batch of human race geniuses. That's why they had no choice but to implement such a policy to keep the human race in check. Oh, don't you understand the history of the human race? Lu Yin looked at Yi Zichen in surprise. Didn't you humans experience a golden age before? Among them were the Milky Way Overlord, Empress Wen Li, Empress Lan Di, Candlelight, and many other peerless geniuses. They were like bamboo shoots after the rain. It was also the birth of that golden age that allowed the human race to escape from the control of the ancestral dragon race. Otherwise, you humans would be under the jurisdiction of our ancestral dragon clan. If there are no accidents, they should be the pillars of the human race by now, or in other words, standing at the peak of the human race. Yes, this was undeniable. The people that Lu Yin had just mentioned had all grown to the pinnacle of the human race. They were also the pillars of the human race. That golden period, Lu Yin's expression was filled with sorrow as he said, that was the first time the human race forced us to take you seriously. They were too dazzling. So dazzling that we couldn't even stand up to you. Even if the ancestral dragon clan managed to give birth to someone as talented as them. None of them. The human race slaughtered the Hero Academy. For 200 years, none of the ancestral dragon clan's geniuses made it into the top 2,000. From then on, the ancestral dragon clan changed the policies of the Hero Academy. They were no longer ranked based on contribution or strength. Instead, they were ranked based on points. Even so, we didn't make it into the top 500. The only one to make it into the top 1,000 is now the Lord of Justice of the Ancestral Dragon Clan. Don't you think it's funny? Originally, the Ancestral Dragon Clan invited the human race to establish their might. Who would have thought that the human race would take us down a notch? We haven't been able to make a comeback for 200 years. In the end, we had no choice but to use points, or in other words, our currency, to determine the rankings. Don't you think that's because we can't afford to lose? And then, just like that, we didn't even make it into the top 500. How funny. Lu Yin's tone was filled with mockery. He didn't hide his disgust for the Ancestral Dragon Clan's decision at all. Not at all. He was very clear about it. From his words, one could hear the hidden meaning in his words. I am disgusted by this place. Everything they do makes me feel disgusted. If Yi Zichen hadn't heard it from Lu Yin, he wouldn't have known that the current point protection and ranking system was actually created by the Milky Way Lord, Big Sister Wen Li, and the Blue Emperor. Just how prosperous was the human race back then for the Ancestral Dragon Clan to not make it into the top 2,000. After changing the ranking system, they were even able to guarantee that the top 500 were all human experts. That's too ridiculous. If that's the case, doesn't that mean that there are still many peerless experts in the human race who haven't appeared yet? Did they unfortunately fall? Or did they become hermits? I don't dare to say anything else, but these 500 people are at least Overlord level, right? And peak Overlord level at that. Is the Hero Academy still using points to rank us? Lu Yin muttered softly. Yi Zichen nodded. They are indeed ranked by points. That's why I don't care about going there. Lu Yin snorted coldly. Lousy knows that I'm poor, so I won't go there and suffer. You were invited by the ancestral dragon clan. Can't I? Lu Yin frowned. No matter what, I'm ranked second in our school. Although I'm always second, third, fourth, and fifth are all able to go. So why can't I? They naturally invited me, but I refused. I don't like being someone else's dog. Dog? You don't know? If the geniuses of the ancestral dragon clan want to go to the Hero Academy, they must sign an oath to be loyal to our great loser, the Master of Judgment. Lu Yin shrugged. They cannot disobey her orders for the rest of their lives. Tell me, aren't you stupid? Why should Lousy be her servant? That's why I'm telling you. Actually, those so-called ancestral dragon geniuses you see at the Hero Academy aren't worth shit. They merely gave up their dignity in exchange for the right to enter. Of course, I don't exclude the fact that there are geniuses who are truly willing to be loyal to the Master of Judgment. Anyways, I think that all of my friends are geniuses, and they all choose to live for themselves. Bro, tell me, if a person doesn't even want their dignity, then what's the point of living, right? Chapter 3019. Red Packet Server, Chapter 3014. Someone famous through connections, please wait for a moment. After the content is updated, please refresh the page to receive the latest update. Chapter 3020. Red Packet Server, Chapter 3015. Confess, please wait for a moment. After the content is updated, please refresh the page to receive the latest update. Chapter 3021. Red Packet Server, Chapter 3016. Reincarnator, please wait for a moment. After the content has been updated, please refresh the page to receive the latest update.